What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 227. I'm your host, Ainsley Bowden, joined today by one less than usual, but we're going to make it work. So, Mr. Hoglaw, you know him well. Lawyers, dragons, hangouts, and headlines. I'm going to get this right. Virtual legality, all the content. He is here. He's ready. He's a little under the weather a little bit, but we're going to push through.
I appreciate it, Ains. I'm happy to be here. I was a little distracted there as we opened because I had to make sure that Dan in the chat was blocked for 5 minutes. So we took care of that. Don't worry about
it. I just
he banned himself.
Just jokingly said it says deleted by Season Gaming, which means I have not taken the controls away from Hogue, which is a dangerous proposition.
He's blocked for 5 minutes. He'll be back. He's playing Hitman. He'll run a Hitman banana run in that 5 minutes.
Nice. I'm sitting here looking like he was blocked by Season Gaming. I didn't do that. Who has the power to do that? I forgot. I gave that to Hogue at one point.
That's right. I still have the controls here.
And of course, Mr. Tie Guy Travis looking more dapper than usual this morning. And by the way, that hair is getting taller every week, my friend.
Yeah, it's short now, so it's even more unruly than normal. It's fantastic. My life is terrible. McClunky. Hello, I am feeling over the weather. I'm looking down on the people of the world with godlike judgment. I don't know. What does over the weather mean? I don't really understand any of this.
That metaphor is getting away from you, yeah.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, it should be a good show today. So Dan is out this week, and apparently for an extra 5 minutes on top of that, he has a family thing with the Kansas City Chiefs today. So big football area here in KC, and he's got a thing going on with that. So he will not be here. But the three of us are here, and we've got quite a few games to talk about. So we've got God of War Ragnarok, of course. We've got Sonic Frontiers, which these guys have been raving about in the DMs. We're going to talk about that. We've got a little game called Vampire Survivors, which is taking Twitter by storm. I've got the Halo Winter update I can talk to everyone about. And we've also got a little bit of news on Hogwarts Legacy and Control 2. So we'll get into all of that. But before we do that, a couple quick things to just mention. First is that we have introduced channel memberships here at Season Gaming. So you can find a bigger update on the site and on our Patreon announcement, as well as our Discord if you're there. But we are actually kind of changing course in the sense of we're moving away from Patreon and we're moving directly to channel memberships on YouTube. So if you enjoy our coverage and you enjoy some of the videos we do, interviews, topics, things like that, there's just two simple tiers, and the $4.99 tier will give you early access to vids here and there of the things that used to be on Patreon. So appreciate all of you who have signed up already, and hope that interests you. Reach out to me if you have anything to say about it. All right. So Sardinisms, who poses some really good questions for us, sent me one just this morning, which I wanted to pose to you guys this morning, because I know this is a good question for the three of us, because I know, generally speaking, how busy the three of us are. Content production, families, and in the case of Travis in particular, doing a lot of different gaming coverage often. So what she said to us is, how do you structure your game time and prioritize games that you are happy with, and how much you play and what you play, even if you have limited time? So that's worded strangely, but basically, how do we prioritize, getting through the games, we feel we have to play, I guess, in the case of me and Travis for coverage, but then also the things we just simply enjoy playing when, so much else going on in life.
Prioritize is an interesting word for me there. I would say games are about last. Games are that, okay, now we've got through everything. We've done our work. We've made our content. We've hung out with our wife, our kids, whatever it might be. And then, maybe you have 9 to 11 in my house to play games. So you find time, you work around things. For me, I actually want to know the answer to this question from Travis, although part of it is he has not been fruitful and multiplied, which changes some of the equation.
Yet.
Well, I never will. But honestly, my answer is kind of sad, which is that I've cut everything out of my life to make room for this. So I don't have family or friends or loved ones, really. So my life is super easy to manage when it comes to playing video games. The now the real answer is that I'm not a big sleeper, and I'm really good with schedules and day planning. That's sort of my thing. And I when I have a review, it feels like work. So it's like you got to hit the deadline. You got to get on it. And so I make time for that to happen. And I really like work, and I don't stop. And some of what I said is true about not really having loved ones. Like, it makes it a lot easier, right? When you don't have like a family you have to visit all the time, and kids you have to worry about. And so I just have more time on my hands to do this sort of stuff. But I'm actually extremely busy because I fill all that void with just like work. That's what I just try to do. So yeah, it's you got to choose what's important to you in life, and I've chosen the things I care about. And I have people in my life who support me, like my fiance, who's pretty much my partner in crime through all of this. She's also a workaholic, so she just is also working all the time, and we enable each other in the worst kind of way. It's fantastic.
I was going to say, I think, you're recently engaged. Obviously, we told that story here. By the way, we're still in on video, so get that together.
No. That's actually something that's on my agenda, is to cut that video. It's been on my cork board, a sticky note, for a while.
But from what we've talked about, obviously, as you said, is that she obviously, that's part of what brought you two together, is kind of the love for video games, the industry, this type of stuff. So that just seems to work out. And without getting too kind of soft, I think it's obviously important, especially, for people like Hogue and I have been married a long time and have children and stuff, that your partner has to be on board with the things you do. So if they're not, that can be problematic, at least in my experience. But yeah, for me, it's always a balance. And as Travis says, just prioritization, in the sense of, I have removed the other things in my life that mattered less to me, so that I have more time to work on what I enjoy, which is season gaming and coverage, and this Bitcast and anything else I do. I had a community night last night at Halo, which was a lot of fun. So it's just, you got to prioritize what's important to you. And I think that it's also good to have a little introspection here and there. I think that sometimes we get in the motions of doing things, even for years in our lives, that if you take a step back and look and you think, why am I still doing this? I don't really care about this as much as I once did, or this doesn't bring me the enjoyment that it used to. Don't be afraid to cut those things out. You don't need them.
Yeah.
It's too short. So,
or in my case, liking too many things and then having to just pick your top 3 at any given time. Like, there's some things I've had to say goodbye to that I was like, damn, if in another world I would have spent all my time doing this. But comedy was one of those for me. Like, I did it for like 10 years, and then after a while I was like, I don't have time. I just have to say bye to something. So
I've listened to you a lot. It's probably a good choice.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I was going to be more positive than that. You brought your comedy stylings to the Bitcast, but
yeah, you can practice a skill in multiple ways, but stand up is very unique. I'll miss it. I always do.
That would have been. I honestly, at all jokes aside, I would love to have seen a clip or video of you doing stand up. So if that's out there somewhere and you just haven't told us about it,
it kind of is, but I don't know, man.
Yeah. Me, Hogue, and Dan need to see this. So, so thank you for that question, Sergeant. Appreciate you. As I just mentioned, thank you, Tao, and thank you, Midnight Dreary, very much for becoming channel members. Greatly appreciate you. So thank you very much. And we got a super chat early here from Google Man 81, and he's not just doing a sticker this week. We've got a €5 super chat from Google Man. Favorite roguelike light that isn't Vampire Survivors?
Moon Crash.
That was quick. That's quick.
That's easy for me on that one.
Can I say Hades and just be like a super basic bitch, or
no? But Hades is a great answer. You can be as basic as you want. That's the problem with great answers and basic accusations, right?
Yeah. I also really like Monster Train. That is probably one of my favorite card-based roguelikes. Slay the Spire is really good. There's a lot of good roguelites out there. There's a lot of bad ones too.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's the thing. There's so many of them now. Monster Train is one that our reviewer at SG loved. I mean, he raved about that game.
Monster Train's good.
Oh my god, it's addictive.
Monster Train is the Slay the Spire evolution. I mean, like that's
it's really good.
Yeah. For me, I would say Rogue Legacy has been mine. Rogue Legacy probably 2 now that 2 is better
That's
than
the
1.
OG. That was the original roguelite. You guys
I
know
know, and it was fantastic. I played the hell out of that game.
You can't. It's called roguelike. I can't.
You really caught Hogue off. I don't even know the word.
Rogue Legacy is not the original Rogue game.
No, it's roguelite. They came out with the roguelite genre because before there was the roguelike games, which were no progression systems, and then they came up with the novel idea that there's sort of a middle ground where you have progression.
You're telling me, and I can't verify this sitting here, that you think Rogue Legacy is the only game to add progression to a rogue random variable framework?
I mean, that's
between the release of Rogue and the release of Rogue Legacy.
That is certainly what they are accoladed with. Like that's like a known thing. Like, oh yeah, they were the original roguelite game, and then they did it. There was a wave of every other company wanting to do it, and then when Rogue Legacy 2 came out, it was like, oh, the OGs are back with their take on what Roguelite 2 is.
I did a quick Google while you guys were talking, and I'm not verifying anything. Feel free, chat, to check us on this. Someone says, was Spelunky the first roguelite, to Travis's point? And the response is Spelunky might be the first roguelite, but Rogue Legacy is the first that used roguelite in its actual description of its gameplay mechanics.
There you go. So they I guess they
coined the
officially broke
phrase. Okay.
They coined the
Makes
genre
sense.
or whatever. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. It's definitely accoladed. I'm sure there are games that maybe accidentally stumbled upon it, but I think they're the first one to do it intentionally. With like that was kind of
I don't know
Yeah,
about
maybe.
They're the first one to market it, is what I'll give them.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. But Rogue Legacy 2 is mine. Tando in the chat says Dead Cells. Rogue Legacy. I mean, Dead Cells is fine if that's your pick. Rogue Legacy came out before Dead Cells, the first.
I'm
one.
telling you, like in the Macintosh PC era, using random assets and having progression existed.
Yeah, I guess you have to figure out what makes it a roguelite. What's funny is my editor-in-chief has a super hard definition of what a roguelite is versus a roguelike, and is constantly getting people on it when they call one game one thing versus another. He's like, no, this is the definition of and he has a very specific kind of thing.
All it needs is meta progression between runs. I mean, like that's what light means versus like, right?
Yeah, but the rogue.
Yeah, but Rogue can't be your standard because Rogue Legacy is nothing like Rogue.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying I think it's the mix of two. It's the rogue mechanics with the light progression. So it's a pretty specific formula, I would say. Now, what's funny is now you see roguelites and you're like, that's now far and away the more popular format than the original rogue likes. Yeah, it's like a better. So it's kind of funny when somebody says,
I don't even think it's a useful distinction because I can't name a roguelike that exists in 2022.
Actually, I looked this up, and there are a couple, but they're super rare. There's like maybe 6 in the past 5 years, and then roguelites, there's like 100.
Yeah,
way more.
Who doesn't want a little meta progression, a little nod for their place?
Well, I could tell you, some Steam reviewers really don't want meta progression because I looked it up, and they were like, "This is real stuff. This is what we're looking for. Who needs progression where it makes it easy?" And I'm like, "Yo, chill."
There are dozens of them. Dozens.
Yeah. Exactly. The sentence that starts "some Steam reviewer said something" with the X in brackets is just true. Okay.
No doubt.
It should have been in black and white. All right, man.
Enter the Gungeon. Yeah. Binding of Isaac.
I really like Skull, the Hero Slayer, where you play the little skeleton boy.
Yep.
That's a great game.
Google man, thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So why don't we jump over to what we're currently playing? Obviously, we have kind of 2 big things to talk about. Let's actually start with Sonic because, Travis, you did the review on Sonic Frontiers for IGN. I know that Hogue has been playing it and enjoying it, I think, more than you expected. I have not played it. So
I did review Skull.
Talk to me about this game, guys.
Yeah. So Sonic Frontiers is the weirdest game I've played this year, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's great. It's one of those games where I gave it a 7 out of 10, which I think is the right score for that game. But I feel like with a couple changes, improvements, like I so badly want Sega to stick with this formula, because I see the sequel as being a potential 10 out of 10 if they make the right moves and right adjustments and they work on optimization of the game and that sort of stuff. But like, it is just pure fun. It throws a million different things at you that you are not expecting. Every couple hours, they have you do something where you're just like, what game even is this? What am I playing? And it is super silly and carefree. It kind of feels just like just a carefree game. They said no bad ideas, and they said no to no ideas. They just were like, sure, put it in the game. Fishing mini games, fine, throw it in the game, stuff like that. And the result is sort of like a unbelievably Sonic game. It's so Sonic-y, and it's fun, even when I would say probably 40% of their ideas don't work and the game really runs poorly in the open world. But what
were you playing this thing on, Travis?
PS5.
So am I. I'm gonna have to disagree. You're really upset about the pop-in. Is that what you're on?
The pop-in is bad, and it gets worse the longer you play, especially if you level your speed up to 99 and you have max rings all the time. Which is, I was just farming the rings so I could get max speed, because if you do the Psy loop, you just get coins constantly. It's kind of a hack. And then running.
What kind of crazy person is just making loops and collecting rings? But there you go.
Yeah.
Now, actually, I do know what kind of crazy person.
It's me. Yeah. I mean, you can just do it real quick. You're like, oh, I'm 100 rings short, and you just go boop, 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 and then you get your rings like in 10 seconds, and then you just run super fast. But
I have not been having. I actually am pretty impressed by the smoothness of the performance, but like it definitely has.
You get the pop-in though, right? Yeah.
There's absolutely pop-in.
Yeah.
But as a seasoned gamer here, it's like, this is not worse than it has ever been. And it's so Travis just leaning on it so Sonic-y, which means nothing, is so true though. I can't improve on that analysis. You go in there. My strongest feeling from Sonic Frontiers is that they did it. This is like decades in the making. This is Mario going from Mario side scroller to Mario 64, and it took them forever because it's nonsensical. You say, what is a Sonic world really? It's like roller coasters in the sky and springs and monsters. And you're like, all right, let's just screw it. We kept trying to make this real or make sense. Forget it. Let's just put it in there like it was in the 2D land. And that's it. That's all it is. It's an amusement park, but it's one that is fast and fun. And they had no idea how to market it. Their marketing was god-awful on this. There is so much in this game that they just wanted to keep a secret. And that's the reason why this morning, if you wake up and you see that they're selling it for like half price,
$39 already
on Tuesday, it's like, well, this might wind up my favorite Sonic game ever. And
I think that's fair. I'm pretty close.
How long is it, Travis? How
big is it? 15 hours. 15, 20 hours. If you do everything, it's probably longer, but Hogue is exactly right with they didn't want to spoil anything. And I think that they maybe did that to their detriment because the embargo was ridiculous. The embargo was you can't show cutscenes. Wait, what? You can't show,
which there are a lot of, by the way. Sonic, despite being silly and nonsensical, it wants to tell you a silly, nonsensical story all the time.
Yeah, it does. There's lots of like talking, just heads, people just having conversations about life as pink hedgehogs do. It's so silly. Yeah.
Did they try to play into like the Sonic cartoon?
I think it's the comics, because the writer is the guy who writes the comics for Sonic. So Sega finally gave Sega gave the Sonic storytelling job to an American person who works on the comics for the first time in forever, because I think it's typically been lots of Japanese writers who've had it forever, and they were like, screw it, our fans really like this comic book dude, we're just gonna have him write the story. And I think he does a really good job with it, even though it's nonsensical and weird and you're kind of like, what is this? I'm so confused.
Not bad.
It's not bad.
None of it is bad. It's just very much, look, I sit here every week and say, man, I wish they made games like they used to. This is a game like they used to. I mean, like this is cutscenes out of nowhere. Amy just starts talking about existentialism. You'll fish with Big the Cat and his thoughts on fishing, and like all of this stuff, while also in the open world, which is separate from a lot of the gameplay, which they hid pretty good. then you're just got this amusement park setup where you have to collect whatever it is on any given island, which they also
Way
didn't
too many
really share.
collectibles. Yeah.
Oh wait.
It's so
you open up the map, and if you think Ubisoft maps are bad, it's just like
yeah, and they do a really bad job of explaining what you need for what, and there's like way too many currencies, and just like that's the thing is like it the reason I think it deserves a 7 is because of the lack of polish and the fact that a lot of their ideas are just like they were almost so experimental it was never going to be like a 9 out of 10 game. But I love the fact that they tried and they just went out there. And I legitimately think that the sequel, I really hope they stick with this format, which, they might not, based on the price cuts and the stuff. They're going to blame the game when it's actually the way that they sold it.
The marketing is awful. I had so many people in my comments when I go out there and say Sonic Frontiers is awesome. They're like, is there enough content? It looks like just empty open worlds, blah, 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 blah. I was like, there's an actual Sonic game in there that they didn't tell you about. There's
2D, 3D levels, the full game in there.
Full levels, awesome stuff. Ridiculous. Travis's best line, and I don't remember whether it was his Twitter or whether it was in the review, is like it's a long lost Dreamcast game. I mean, it's got that vibe. If you could, plug in a Chow Garden, it would totally fit in with all of this.
Yeah, it feels like they took the Sonic Adventure 2 team and were like, here's a PS5 to build a game on, and they were like, all right, well, let's go crazy, guys. Let's get to work.
And then you let Sonic control real well. And then the reason that there is that smattering of icons is that anything you can jump on, anything you see, anything you can lock onto, anything you can, get on a rope and swing for is going to have some kind of benefit to you, right? So the open world is, hey, do you see a rail? Go nuts. And probably we're going to give you an icon at the end, and that icon, you're going to need 150 of them to open up the next cutscene, and you're going to need that cutscene to open up the next level, and you're going to need that level to open up the next Chaos Emerald, and like it sequences like that. But I find myself playing it for 2 hours at a time. Now I will tell you, Travis just told you 15 hours. I can't say that all the islands are the same length, but I think I'm trending right now to 50. So
wait, what?
Yeah, I'm 13 hours in on Island 2.
What the hell are you doing?
I'm running around getting tokens, having fun.
Wow. Okay.
So
they're not all the same length. Like, one of the islands is basically just like a throwaway. It's like, this is a 5-minute island.
Yep. And if that's the case, then that would lower that number.
Yeah. Also, the third
final island.
A lot of people's opinion of the game went down in the third island because the third island, let's just say its design, it comes into conflict with Sonic's speed and the idea that you want to run around an open area. To me, the desert is the best one because it works so well. Because you're just going up and down dunes and you're like, oh, I'm the super fast hedgehog. And then Island 3, they're like, here's a series of tiny islands that aren't connected and you can't go over water to get to them. And there's not a good way to navigate around. And you're just like, oh, I just want to be Sonic and run around, So,
well, Travis is constantly telling me that wherever I am in a game, it gets worse from there. So this is no different from the usual for Travis.
It dips and then it goes back up. 5 is really good.
By the way, we haven't had a Xenoblade 3 check in about a month or two.
Where I was.
Yeah, he hasn't touched it. Let's be honest.
I had a lot of good games to play this week, honestly. Sonic Frontiers surprised me. And Travis does such a good job. Travis, I buy every damn thing he reviews because he always finds like, well, this is how this is novel and weird. I'm like, oh, that seems cool. And so Sonic Frontiers sounded fantastic from the way he described it, 7 out of 10. And I also have a feel now for what Travis's 7s are, which are generally my 8s. And so I have this vibe, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. Perhaps my favorite game release of the week? ?
Uh-oh. Good segue there. Ben, by the way, before I segue, so I'm going to ruin the segue. He said you guys are going to make me buy Sonic, aren't you?
Buy it now. It's on sale.
I was going to say, this sounds like a game that, like, when I have spare time over the holidays to just veg out and goof off, this sounds like a perfect game to throw on.
It is so good. It is such a game. It's like I just want to run around and go fast and see loops and things like that. There are so many.
It's a game that knows it's a game and just wants you to have fun and doesn't really care about stuff like polish or necessarily being cohesive. They just hodgepodge it all together. My review is entitled Hedge Hodgepodge, and I think that's
you told us. I think that's well done, sir.
Well, I told you that I said it was Sonic Stranding.
Sonic Stranding.
Yes.
It does have the first island is very
haunting.
Death Stranding. Yeah, it's like a little haunting with fog, and you're like, what's going on here? It's kind of weird.
It totally was.
What did you think of the boss
somber,
fight? I didn't spoil the boss fight, but you've only seen one so far. What did you think of it?
I saw one boss fight. I really liked it, but I also really like I guess I really like when they go all in.
Yeah.
So you're doing this boss fight and like all of that. If you've ever played Sonic Adventure, if you can remember any of that kind of Dreamcast era of Sonic where like the butt metal comes out and goes nuts while you're flying around as a hedgehog, like this is the fully Super Saiyan Sonic the Hedgehog experience. And they have music with lyrics, and Sonic the Hedgehog is just a match made in heaven every time they do it. And so they go nuts on these boss fights. Nuts.
They do.
Well, I know a few guys that I talk to in the community are really big Sonic fans. They're out there. They just adore Sonic, and they seem to be really enjoying this game. So I think that's good.
I love it.
It is made for Sonic fans, 100%.
That's good.
That's good.
All right. Well, I'll buy it for $15 next month, and I'll check it out.
Probably. Yeah.
I'll check it out over the holidays.
Why we don't get a Sonic Frontiers 2.
I tried, Hogue.
I'm trying to, Travis.
Hey, I am not the reason we don't get weird games. Believe me.
There's gonna be freaking Sonic, and he's gonna be an old grizzled father walking through the hallways of a Sonic mythology with his Sonic son saying, "Come here, boy," and that's what we're gonna get.
Speaking of,
I'm terrified of a Naughty Dog Sonic game. I'm actually horrified by that prospect.
I want it to be the original Sonic movie, Sonic speaking.
Sometimes when you go fast, life just has a way of passing you by.
Life goes fast.
I wish we could go back.
Oh man, could you imagine the sequel where you take over his Knuckles? Oh no.
You might be able to break the sound barrier, but you can't outrun your past.
It writes itself.
It writes itself. It really does.
You get the world's saddest, slowest Green Hill Zone 1 song.
Yeah. Acoustic guitar.
All right. Well, speaking of games that are oh boy.
Before we get into God of War, because I think this is gonna be our longest conversation, can I just say you did skip the one game that I think I'm actually gonna enjoy the longest and the most that released this week, which is Tactics Ogre Reborn.
Okay.
Oh, great game.
Tactics Ogre is fantastic. I'm loving going back to those kinds of games. It's on my dashboard. I'm playing it with Sonic and Kratos and everything else, and it's just so good, folks. If you weren't around for the 90s and the strategic tactical games of that era, Tactics Ogre is one of the best of all time, and it plays real well on modern systems. Now, it is a bit fiddly. You got to equip everybody. You're not going to get your hand held. You're not going to have somebody enter into every battle and say, "Hey, there's a door over there. Have you checked out that door? Is there a door over there? Hey, have you seen that bell? That bell rings. Have you checked out that bell? You should ring that bell." Or anything like that in this game. There's very little hand holding, but I highly recommend it.
Fantastic. I already like it.
You know, another game that doesn't have very much hand holding and isn't afraid to just be a video game.
Yeah,
is my next review. Obviously, they're giving me the big releases here at IGN, right?
Yeah.
Goat Simulator 3.
Yes.
Which I've been playing a lot of.
Okay.
Can't really talk about it too much, but I will say it's a 4-player Goat Simulator game, and it does not give an F what you think about it, which is a very nice breath of fresh air.
Their thing from the beginning. Yeah.
Having watched the trailer, I'm not sure how realistic a simulation of goat life it is.
Yeah, I don't think the word simulator might be a little overstated there in the title. Also, the fact that it's the second game in the franchise and it's called Goat Simulator 3.
That is not true, is it?
It is true.
Yeah, they did that on purpose.
Yeah, they went straight from Goat Simulator to Goat Simulator 3. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. They don't care.
You're into the skin.
They're out here having fun. So it's yeah, I've been playing around with that.
Can you say when the review's coming?
Yes, it's launching the same day as Pokemon Scarlet Violet's review, which clearly is my review is going to be way bigger than that Pokemon review. Yeah, I
when
think
you
it's
get done with Pokemon, check out Travis's review of Goat Simulator.
That's right. That's right. I think it's the 17th, and then it comes out the 18th, the same day as Pokemon, as like the exact same embargo.
So this week, as you're listening to this, then yeah. So we've got this week we've got that, we've got the Pokemons, and we've got Pentiment.
That's right. Is that also Friday?
Pentiment is Tuesday.
Okay, so that's better because I just feel like if you, Rebecca Valentine's on the Pokemon review.
Have you guys seen the pre-order numbers, or at least the what we can see on the outside of Pokemon?
For Pokemon, it's gonna be absurd.
It might be the biggest Switch game.
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to have to do some work to catch up to Smash. But
Pear told me we're reinforcing the servers for Friday.
It seems like that kind of game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be bonkers. And I'll need you guys to talk about it because I don't know anything about Pokemon.
Oh, I'm gonna play it. Hell yeah!
Oh my god! Hell yeah! After playing Arceus, it's such a good idea to take that model and make it the new Pokemon. It's like it's so obvious to anybody that's like, oh, yep, they did the thing.
Yeah. Wow. So Hogue, I actually draw a parallel between Pokemon Legends Arceus and Sonic Frontiers. I think they're closer than Breath of the Wild because to me, it's like Sonic Frontiers is like the great first draft that I think is going to be a really, really good game someday. But I'm waiting for them to do their presumably Scarlet Violet. If that hits the nail on the head, I want them to do the second iteration that truly achieves greatness.
Well, to me, I mean, Breath of the Wild, Sonic Frontiers is clearly inspired by Breath of the Wild to me. Insofar as we didn't even mention, you've got like hundreds of mini games around the map to kind of clear up the map. Then the tokens that you have to collect are like very short form jumping puzzles or interaction puzzles. And so it's got that shrines notion, right? And then you're collecting seeds and things to give to various people to increase your levels up for, ring number and speed power. I mean, it's got a lot of, here are some very small things that you do all around the map. And then what Breath of the Wild doesn't have that this has that I don't even remember seeing, I'm sure it was out there somewhere, is that the primary loop is Sonic levels. I mean, it's actual Sonic levels, not in the open world. It's you go into what they call cyberspace and you go and you play Sonic levels. And they're great.
Yeah. The cyber levels are the best part.
And they're the Sonic game, right? I mean, like the rest is adding a kind of meta context to playing Sonic, but the meta is really cool. So
I may not be here next week. I think something's come up, so you guys can just talk about Pokemon for an hour and a half if you want to.
You just want to hear about Pokemon, y'all. Unfortunate.
Pokemon's great, man. I know, and obviously so many people love it and are looking forward to it, and I think that's awesome. I've bought multiple Pokemon iterations. I've really, really tried. I've given it my best effort. It's just
Did you play Arceus?
No, because I bought
because this is Pokemon like Assassin's Creed Origins is Assassin's Creed. Like they've really gone a different direction with Pokemon.
Just doesn't do anything for me, man. Yeah.
It's like a different game series. You have to bounce in and at least check it out.
Okay. All right. Maybe. We'll see how this one does. Obviously, it's going to be huge. Funny enough, I saw someone who was tracking Switch software sales, and the Switch, this is just a random fact for you, the Switch total software sales are about to surpass the Wii and DS. They're all very close right now, and it is about to pass 1 billion units of software on the Switch, which means that this game could very well be the game that puts it over the top, which would be I guess fitting.
I think it just became number 4. It passed the
It's 3 now.
4. Yeah, past the PlayStation 4.
You thinking you're a Scarlet or Violet man, Travis?
I think Scarlet.
All right. Hogue House has already settled on Scarlet, so we can't trade.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll buy the dual pack. I'll, switch it up. If you buy the dual pack, can you give the other code to someone else, or do you have to buy 2 copies separate?
Digitally, I think it's just they're yours. They're linked to your account.
It's Nintendo. You would have to buy it again.
Yeah, but they sell them separately, so you can just buy 1 and 1. I think I'll do that because I think Dee wants to play this one. So
nice.
Play it with her.
Well, that's cool. So we'll talk about that next week then. Someone, I think it was Chris in the chat, also mentioned that Somerville comes out this week, which I forgot about. as well as the next in the Dark Pictures anthology, which I will be playing as well with my
Hell
wife.
yeah.
So, yeah, those are
So
fun
you do
games.
that with wife? I
Yeah.
save those games for movie night, you know, the movie night
Yeah,
mode
yeah.
where
Yeah, yeah.
where everybody gets to play a different character. So I think I've got that one and the Quarry lined up for
Quarry's good. Yeah, it's fun.
Quarry's
Thanksgiving / Christmas. Because the thing I love about those games is you can play with people that aren't gamers, because everyone
Yeah.
understands the concept of a movie and they can play well enough to hit the right button at the right time. And so
Yeah.
I make like my fiance's like mom play with us, and then she gets
You
eaten
still need someone
immediately.
manning the controller for those QTEs.
No, she
Yeah.
does it, and then she just dies early. Or sometimes if you miss the quick time events, that's the right choice. And so sometimes she like survives longer than we're expecting, because we're like, oh,
Well, and the ones in
supposed
the
to
Quarry
fail.
are like, they even made them easier than
There
the
you go.
prior games. Like, you
Yeah.
literally just move the thumbstick. Like, it's not challenging or timing. So,
But speaking of QTEs, we could talk about another game that doesn't get enough crap for its QTEs.
It's kind of true, actually. It probably should get more crap for it.
I don't know
Just a little
if you're
bit more
leading me.
crap.
So I started the lead into God of War. Then we took a hard left.
I really wanted to say Tactics Ogre Reborn is awesome. I really wanted to put that out
No,
there.
it's great. So now I'm thinking, why don't we talk about the other games, and then we can end on God of War currently
Sure.
playing.
Let's do
since
it.
that's
Let's just
gonna be our
allude to
biggest-
God of War for as long as possible, but never actually get to the point.
We could just say we're out of
Well
time.
played, sir.
Oh,
Well played.
yeah,
I got
yeah,
it. I
yeah,
got it.
yeah.
I'm with you, Trevor.
So let's mention Vampire Survivors real quick. So this game, I saw on my Twitter feed a lot of people raving about it. It came
It's
out
been
on
out
Game.
forever, right?
I think it's been out on PC. It came out to Game Pass this week.
Okay, thank you.
So it is a very simple game, at least on the surface from a development standpoint, right? You're not talking flashy graphics, simple music, really, really old school. But it is incredibly addicting in the sense of it's like a one more run game, right? And it's you level up, you unlock things, and it's just a single screen running around, killing hordes and hordes and hordes of things. It's very, I played it for the first time yesterday morning and enjoyed myself. It's very old school. And if you just want something simple to play that is still very addicting, definitely check it out if you haven't yet. It's cool.
Vampire Survivor?
Vampire Survivors, yes.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to play more of that. It's one of those where I played it for a little bit and I was like, ooh, I like this, but then I didn't go back to it.
Yeah.
What are they selling it for on consoles?
$4.
Right. The number's always been small. That's why it's like, oh, it's on Game Pass. It's like, well, okay, but the distinction is.
I think
small.
it's because the no barrier of entry there's like something about that, about just being.
And it spreads. That I think that's what made it spread this week, is because so many people just tried it for the hell of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Another one like that was on Game Pass was the Among Us, which was I think it's $1 on console, and they put it on Game Pass. So yeah, I think no barrier of entry is pretty hard to beat.
Yeah. Marvel Snap I wanted to mention because it had its first expansion, I forget the Wakanda. Update, yeah, and our reviewer who did Marvel Snap's review wrote up a thing on it and said it's I think they're going for like a monthly content release is what he
they
said.
said October for the first, and now this one says November. It's 3 weeks until the end.
Okay. All right.
Not that
fair
I
enough.
played Marvel Snap through all the college football
Oh,
games.
what level are you, man? Let's hear.
191.
191.
Is that a lot?
I think I'm about to embarrass myself right now.
Travis is going to mock me for 191.
No, I'm not going to mock you because I actually envy the fact that you have been less addicted to me. Oh man, yeah, it's way worse than I thought. Whoops.
It's great to play during football. Yep. He's got me by 500 levels.
629.
Oh, 629.
629. Yeah, that's kind of sad. Although I do have a coworker at IGN who's like over 1,000, and I'm like, how? Like 600. I've been playing a lot. So, but yeah, it's to your point last week, Hogue. It's just like the reason I've been playing so frequently is because it's just easy to get like a quick game in. Like
it's so good as a mind cleanser.
Yeah, like
so good as a lawyer between the docks.
Exactly. Yeah, like I would go, to the office and I'd be playing on like the subway, and it's just easy to play like super passively for a couple minutes at a time and then stop. And so
Marvel Snap is great. And you look at what they did in November. They added locations that do weirder things. This is clearly built for sustainability. Now, do I wish that there were a way to more fulsomely participate in their seasons than just the straight up $10? I do. I wish you could earn it somehow, but it's not overly monetized in any other way, so I can't really complain. They need to get money somehow.
Well, I
That's
think
that's almost what our
Google Man-
reviewer said to a T. Yeah,
Yeah.
almost the same thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, Travis.
Well, I like the grind, right? I like to say, all right, you're going to give me a penny per hour or whatever, but I could conceivably get up to a currency spend to get your fancy stuff. Like there's just a hard cash block on that kind of stuff for the season. And it's like I don't love that, but also there's like no pressure anywhere else in the game. So
yeah, it's also I think almost exclusively cosmetic. I guess you could
variants. I think
the one thing you could do is you could buy new missions, which Google Man was just telling me, which I kind of forgot you could even do that, but you can buy new missions and then that levels you up faster, and leveling you up gets you new cards. But I mean, I'm 626. I haven't spent any money on it. I feel like you don't need to do that. So yeah,
you don't need to. You don't need to. But as a guy that
I don't feel any pressure to, for sure.
Yeah,
sometimes I'll see a variant and I'd be like, that'd be cool, but then I just don't. I don't care.
No, I see like the deck backs at like level 100 for the season. It's like I'm never gonna get those, but I like those deck backs a lot. Sorry.
That's cool though. Everything I hear is positive about this game.
It's fantastic.
You can get deck backs? I didn't even know.
I haven't tried it yet.
Where do you get?
You don't know they have deck backs at level 626?
No, I knew they had deck backs, but I didn't know you could buy deck backs. They're selling.
No, the skill at level 100. So if you get to the rank of 100, the infinite rank, they have the cool kind of Wakandan arrow backs for this season. But the way this works, the way this works, Zanes, those ranks are per season. The way this works is that you're betting your rank points per game.
Yeah.
And so you have to really consistently make good choices to go up this ranking level. And then they took you down 3 tiers between seasons. So you're always going to have to go at least up 30 levels to get to that high end stuff. And that's if you're at the high end every time.
So is the ranking as a competitive shooter guy, is there a kind of profile level based on just how much you play versus a like competitive ranking level?
So Travis's big number there that he showed with 626 is his collector's rank. That's closest to like time spent, give or take. And then they have an actual rank of when you play a game of Marvel Snap, it's initially for 1 point. And if you just yeet it out of that match, you would lose 1 point from your rank, and each rank is 10 points apart. But you can snap, and then that doubles it to 2 points. And if you get all the way to the end, so it's kind of like a Texas Hold'em game. If you get all the way to the end and everybody shows their cards, it doubles that. So it's either 1 point, 2 points, 4 points, or 8 points. And if you get to the end and everybody says, let's see them, and it's 8 points, you either go up 8 or down 8. And down 8 feels bad, man.
Sure.
Because you can always opt out. You can always say, I don't want to double it. I'm out. When they snap, you can say I'm out for whatever the previous number is. So it's got this,
I got you.
It's got
They're like raising you. It's like raising you
thing
in poker, and you being like, I fold. Like I don't want to.
Which I have. It's like you go 1 and you snap it at turn 5, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
I'll take my 1 point.
No, I tend to be bolder because I'm like, screw it, whatever. I got time. I can grind. Screw you. But the thing that will make me quit immediately is if we get the squirrels. If the squirrels drop on every board, because I'll be like, I don't want to play this.
You don't want to deal with the squirrels?
It's because I play a movement deck right now primarily, and movement becomes infinitely more difficult when you have a bunch of squirrels clogging up your.
I like to
board.
manipulate the squirrels. It's fun.
If you're lost right now, you're not alone. I have no idea what you're talking about.
There's a
location.
What's up with card games and squirrels? I will never understand, because like Magic the Gathering also has a weird squirrel like obsession as well.
This is the fun part about Snap though, Ains, is that they have all sorts of wacky cards that are maybe a little bit unbalanced, but mostly you're dealing with it together, and like it's not an important, serious game. So it's like, whatever, I'll play the next one. It's 3 minutes long.
Yeah, sometimes I forget that not everybody knows that Squirrel Girl is a Marvel character.
They're pulling out characters I've never seen before. I'm trying to get my giant dinosaur up to legendary, and it's like, because he's just cool. It's a cool bit of art.
You've offended Secret Mix Squirrel in the chat, by the way.
That's fine. I mean, they're not helpful on my game board. It makes me want to quit the match. But Squirrel Girl is very powerful if you have like a destruction deck or something where you just want more level 1 fighters, and you can manipulate them all up. But the problem is they released they released Killmonger, who destroys all 1-cost cards. And so if that's your deck, there's one card that anybody could play to just destroy your entire strategy.
Well, there's all sorts of asshole cards in Marvel Snap. It's what makes it fun. You're just like, oh well.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move us on from the Marvel Snap conversation.
You started the conversation about Marvel Snap.
You did.
I didn't expect a 10-minute conversation about squirrels.
By the way, the Game
Did
Awards.
I talk about my Half-Life Alex playthrough? We can just repeat the dialogue.
The difference there is that the barrier to entry of Marvel Snap is approaching 0. And look, Ains, the Game Awards asked yesterday, they put out a tweet that said, what do you think are the 6 that are going to be nominated? And I'm trying to get all corporate and saying, all right, these are the 6 they're going to nominate. But one of them was Marvel Snap, because I do think you're going to want to say, mobile, we see you. And this is a game that has taken the zeitgeist, I think, a little bit, because it's good.
Nice. No, I'm definitely got to try it. Again, we talked about it last
Marvel
week.
Characters, right?
No, I mean, it's okay, but mobile games don't do anything for me. So,
really?
We talked about this last week.
Games. Yeah,
we literally had this conversation last week extensively.
I'm just saying, 3 minutes. You could try it for 3 minutes and see.
I will try it.
There's no mobile, because some games are better on mobile, right? There's no mobile games that you just are like, yeah, that's cool.
This is the only one I'm playing, Travis. I don't usually play mobile games.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Do you forget that we just had this conversation?
I do.
We're not on subways. You know, we're not.
That's true. Yeah,
I don't go anywhere.
Yeah. There's nowhere to go.
A lot of times it's like, might as well turn on the PlayStation. You know, whatever.
You just said it's incompatible with your lifestyle. You don't have a grudge against the types of games.
Yes,
right?
that's a better way to word it.
Yeah,
yes, that's a better.
That makes sense. I get that, because I like my Switch went down in usage by like 900% during COVID, when I didn't go anywhere for a while. You know, so now it's starting to return, which is good.
Yeah, I work from home, and when I do go places around here to do things, I'm driving there. So
I like Rob on chat says you can play Snap when the panel goes on tangents.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Rob. That's what I need to get it for.
There you go. Download it,
especially for next week with Pokemon. That's what I'll be doing. I'll just sit here,
You could. Away. You know what, Ains? I would respect it. You just say, you mute your mic, say Ains is going to try Snap while we have this conversation, and he'll come.
That would actually be a good bit. You should save your first Marvel Snap for when we're talking about Pokemon. Also, it's going to be really confusing when we're talking about Marvel Snap and Pokemon, because there's a game called Pokemon Snap.
Yeah.
And so
my wife says, when we were talking about it, my wife says, wait, that's not Snap. I thought there was another Snap. By the way, new Pokemon Snap is excellent too.
It is a good game. I didn't finish it.
I will do that. I'll download it and I'll have it ready to go next week for the show. So we'll talk about it.
Fantastic.
All right, let me hit these super chats. Don Lionheart in the house, $2 super chat. He says, "No Dan today. I miss the man with the best taste." Hey, fair enough.
He got me to buy Breakpoint. I downloaded a copy of Breakpoint.
If you just like Hitman, if that's the flavor you enjoy, the taste.
We would hear from Dan, but Hogue banned him permanently. He's gone. So I don't know
what. He sent me a DM.
Don, thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Fat Boy Horror in the house, £2 super chat. How to not sell Sonic? It's got that Breath of the Wild feel.
Yes, gamers notoriously negatively react to the reference to Breath of the Wild. That's generally how they are.
Yeah, it doesn't feel the same to me as Breath of the Wild.
I think if you really take down and think about what Sonic Frontiers is as an experience, especially in the open world, you'll see a lot of Breath of the Wild.
It feels like it takes more risks than Breath of the Wild, certainly.
Sure.
And also the fact that it's got hub worlds, I have a hard time getting out of my brain, whereas Breath of the Wild is one big open map. It's got
5 maps. Yeah.
Well, and you said that Sonic has stuff to do, so yeah, it's very different.
I mean, Sonic in the open world has nothing to do. I mean, there's no towns in Sonic. Anyway, all right.
Let me talk to you a little bit about the Halo Winter Update before we get to Ragnarok.
Forge ahead, I say.
Play Marvel Snap.
Forge ahead. Well played. So Halo Winter Update this week. Biggest update to Halo Infinite yet. Included Forge, included campaign co-op, included a couple new maps, sandbox balance changes, rank changes, a whole lot of things. So I held a community night last night. We played a bunch of different variations of Goofy games. It was a lot of fun. We're going to be doing those more often, but it was a good experience to kind of demonstrate what Forge and custom games bring to the Halo community, which is just good times, because Halo, as I've said many, many times, is fundamentally the core people like myself that played a lot are very competitive. And I think, there's a lot of people who used to jump into Halo just to goof off with friends, right? It used to be a shooter where you could do that. And I think it's fair to say they've moved away from that a little bit over the past several years with Halo 5 and Infinite, and focused really on the competitive sandbox. And I think what Forge does is brings back some of that kind of casual fun that you can have with just this goofy sandbox. And believe me, when I say goofy, there's some hilarious things we played last night. So Duck Hunt is back.
Diglett?
Jumping up and popping like the mole one. Yeah.
The mole game.
We play mini sumo where you're a Spartan on a tiny mongoose racing in circles, trying to not knock each other off like a crazy Mario Kart variation. We played Duck Hunt, like I said, like the circus game where there's one sniper and all of you are running through an obstacle course trying not to get hit, which was comical. Just a lot of fun. So Forge has been great. The 2 new maps they added are quite good. They're solid maps. The changes they made to the ranked sandbox are generally good. It's a good step forward. There's progression now, just playing character progression. They updated the challenges. So it's a lot of positive kind of movement for Halo Infinite. It's nice to see. A lot of people kind of having fun with it again. And, they've got a winter event coming in December with Christmas cosmetics and things like that for free. So a lot of positivity around Halo, which is nice because, as we well know, there's been a lot of negativity around 343 and Halo over the past several months. So it's good to see kind of people enjoying it again. It's good.
Nice.
So
I want to get back in there.
Yeah, you just jump in one of these community nights we're having. You'll enjoy yourself. We had I don't know how many people we had last night. We had about 12, I think, at one point 13, just goofing off, playing all kinds of random stuff. So we were playing Blood Gulch. A lot of classic maps have already been remade. Blood Gulch, Lockout, Haven. We were enjoying those last night too. So good.
Nice.
All right. Finally, we'll talk about God of War Ragnarok. So preface this with, for myself at least, with I'm only about 3 hours in. I wanted to play it a lot more over the past few days, but I'm working on a review that I still can't talk about till tomorrow. So I had to finish that up. And of course, Halo takes my time as always. So I'm only a few hours in. So I will let you guys, I don't know. We talked about our kind of thoughts prior to the show, but I don't know how far you guys are in. How far are you into the game?
I'm the same
10.
as you.
10 or so.
10. Okay. And you're
3.
you're early like me. Okay.
I'm early. Yeah. I've been distracted with other games.
Okay. All right. So is now the good time to show this?
Yeah. There we go, guys. That's me. I am an annoying teenage boy, just like in real life.
Travis is mildly less annoying than Atreus, but
mildly less. That is a huge compliment from you, Hope.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Who did that? Was that somebody in the community that put that together?
That was Dan. Dan did
that. Okay. No, Dan.
So I will say, I'll give my initial thoughts because if you're 10 hours in, I know you have a lot more to say on it, Hogue. My initial thoughts are this is extremely like God of War 2018. So far, I am very impressed by the performance of the game. It's very, very pretty. I love I'm using the HDMI 2.1 and VRR frame rate mode, which is awesome because I think I ranted when we had the frame rate discussion around playing like Call of Duty and Halo at 120 FPS every day. And then moving to like a 30 FPS title was a little jarring. So playing a game like this, a third-person action game where it's super, super smooth is awesome. And it's the presentation, the cinematics are top-notch. So all of those things are kind of expected, right? This is Sony's flagship first-party title. When you talk about the Sony first-party games, this is the one that kind of set the gold standard, I would say. However, I'll caveat by saying, at least in my first few hours, I've been less impressed that it feels like more of the same. The menu system and upgrade pass.
The UI, man. Good God.
Yeah, I was really, really hoping. I felt that the upgrade system in God of War 2018 was too basic for me. I was like, if you're going to do an upgrade system, at least make it meaningful. I don't like when games walk the line of we need to have character upgrades, but they don't take any chances or allow you to really, kind of change the way the game plays.
They're linear. upgrades.
Yeah.
They're like basically
Yeah,
straight lines.
It's just like that's your full Kratos.
Yeah, and it's just like now you can knock someone up in the air more, and it's like, well, that it's not really meaningful. And I was hoping that would change in this one, that they would expand upon that you would have different styles of combat for your shield versus your axe or the chains. But it's not. It's all pretty much what was in the first game, or I should say 2018, not the first game, or at least
more bits and
so
bobs.
far.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are different things that are in this game that are in that game.
Okay,
just in terms of a little bit on combat moves. I think it still largely feels the same, so I don't want to give it too much credit. But there's hold down attacks, and then there's some other stuff that weren't treated the same in 2018.
Okay, and then my only other thing I'll say before I let you guys go on this is I've been less impressed too with the same type of what I would call level design or linearity of these sections, where it's like you're supposed to go straight. Oh, look, there's a little path to the left with a chest on it. You grab it and then you move on. And it's again,
you skip the part where your companion mocks you for not going in the right direction and explains the right direction is over here.
Yes. So one, I think you climb over here and you get a chest and you get a crafting material and then you climb back down. One, I think that level design is very boring. It doesn't do anything for me. And to your point, I don't know what's in the water over at PlayStation First Party right now, where they feel like your companions in games have to talk to you and instruct every single movement you do at every step of the way. But they got to stop, or at least give me an option to turn it off.
Needs to be a toggle. At 1000% needs to be a toggle.
Yeah, because I did not expect that out of this game. We talked at length previously months ago about Forbidden West and the problems with Aloy there and the annoyance of her just rambling on constantly at you. And I did not expect Atreus in this game to be constantly pointing things out to me that I would like to discover and figure out by myself. I got to a point, I'm on the first realm now with the boat. No spoilers here, don't worry.
Boats. Hey, guys, boats are back. There you go.
And it's like, there's a tiny little puzzle where you throw your axe and do this and that. And I'm like, it's simple, right? It's very simple. And I think I looked at my phone for a second, and it wasn't 5 seconds before he's like, well, maybe if you do this, you can go up there. And I'm like,
I was going to say, it has to be 3 seconds.
Tell me this.
It has to be 3 seconds. I mean, I think you can freeze that up there. Oh my God. Go die.
Would you guys accept it if the toggle to turn off Atreus giving you hints was that your character backhands him?
No. I don't want to
abuse take that as a toggle. You hit him. Shut up, boy. And then it says you've turned off follower narrative. And then if you turn it back on, then
I can't even tell you how much more frustrated you're going to be.
Oh, great. I'm excited.
I can't even tell you. It is so much. It is so much. And they give you 3 seconds to assess a room. I mean,
wow. Yeah. So anyway, you go ahead and go. That's all I have so far. I love the presentation. Like I said, it's stunning. I love the cinematics. The combat feels super smooth and all that, but I am confused that I'm doing these very small little areas with meaningless puzzles. And the conversational stuff is so similar to 2018. Maybe I expected a bigger evolution, and maybe that comes later in the game. I don't know. I'm too early to kind of give final impressions. But Hogue, you're 10 hours in. Talk to me about it.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? So I'm not one of these best game of all time God of War people. I thought God of War 2018 was fine. I've talked about it in this space. I like an 8 out of 10. I think that it did a lot of good things to kind of reimagine what God of War combat could be, having it very immersive and really right over the shoulder and doing some cool stuff, very realistic kind of landscapes and things. But I found the pacing and the story and the narrative to be really bad in 2018, just really slow, really meandering, kind of spiraling to nothing. And for everybody that got on my case for saying that God of War 2018 was a 30-hour prologue to maybe the actual story starting, you owe me a Coke or something, because the first 3 hours of this game are so that was all leading up to this conversation, which is gonna send you off somewhere else. Maybe the issue in 2018 and the issue in this one is both that they don't really care about what narratively we would usually call the inciting event, the call to adventure, call to action, motivation, whatever you want to call it. Both of these games kind of start a little bit chill, right? In 2018, you start out and you're going to take the ashes somewhere. And that's, it's a spoiler for a 4-year-old game, but it's also the first 2 minutes of that game. You're going to take the ashes somewhere. And in this game, basically there's nothing. It's just 3 years later, we're hanging out. And then the inciting event is actually treated very similarly. And you say it felt the same. So you're in the first realm. That whole first opening sequence, I was absolutely floored by the fact that their decision was, we're going to do it. We're going to do the intro to 2018 beat for beat. Hunt, unexpected encounter, boss fight, out. It is moment to moment the same as 2018 started, including some of the same scenery and same locations, which are supposed to be, I think, talking about, it's 3 years past and reflecting on that kind of stuff. But that one is jarring to me because you are am I in good hands here as you play the game? Because do we have new ideas? Now, when you get to Realm 1, you have exactly what you're talking about, Ains. You have, firstly, a kind of empty space that they make some narrative excuses for. And then you have little tiny puzzles around a lake. And I was so unhappy to be back in a boat circling a lake after 2018 that all reflected on my experience as well. Now, I'll say this for benefits, right? Lots of polish, some funny line readings from Kratos. And the combat is more varied now. They have more varied types of enemies. They have more varied things to do against those enemies. And that is an improvement to 2018. But having played it for 10 hours, I still can't tell you what I am supposed to be motivated to turn the game back on to play for. I can't tell you what I'm trying to achieve. I can't tell you why I'm trying to achieve it. I can't actually show you progression between the relationship that Kratos and Atreus had in the first game to this game. We seem to be going over the same beats. It feels very much like an empty retelling of this thing that worked for them the first time. And I am very hopeful. I'm 10 hours in. I'm not 30 hours in. I'm very hopeful that, as you say, Ames, the cool stuff, whatever the idea for the story might be, etc., is coming up. But as I play more and more, and I see less and less, I become more concerned that essentially it's you like the sausage pizza. Here's another sausage pizza, and I think, in all honesty, it's a little bit less. It's a little bit less polished. It's a little bit less interesting than the first one in terms of even the moment-to-moment progressions or the conversations, just out on the boat. Whatever Mimir says. It's just less interesting. It's a little bit less. Now, that might be because it's a copy of what came before. But I said this to you guys in DMs. I got my dashboard on my PlayStation. I got Tactics Ogre, I got Sonic, and I got God of War. And it's been a struggle to hit the God of War button every single time because I'm just enjoying myself playing the other things. And it's starting to feel like an obligation. I don't have a review to write, gents. I don't know when I just say, screw it. This is not fun. So yeah. It is one of those times where I feel this disconnect, which is you got a couple 10s, you got a bunch of 9s. And I do think that as a reviewing system, first of all, as I've always said, go find the reviewer that matches you. But as a reviewing system, I do think gaming as an industry is too reluctant to criticize polished games. That this has polish, this has money, this has details. And to me, it's okay, that's great that there are 1,000 details in this brown on brown scene of a place I don't want to be, doing things I don't want to do for a reason I don't understand or haven't been told. Yes, it's very detailed, but yeah. So God of War is exactly what you think it is. If you love 2018, you're going to love this one. I think you might get a little bit of double up deja vu syndrome, but you're probably going to love it. If you had problems with the narrative, I think they are going to be heightened. I think if you had issues with the pacing, it's going to be worse. At least for me, it is. So that's where I'm at. I would say, I'm at one of the big twists. I would say, which is fine. It's not. It's oversold just to even say it that way. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It isn't working for me right now.
Okay, so Travis, before you give your thoughts here, first of all, could you tell your marketing agency that we don't need them in the chat
Oh,
right
that's
now?
just
Thank you
me.
very
I'm just posting it right here. Another time. Yeah, we don't. We're a startup.
Let me get these super chats real quick because Gecko Gamer in the house with his €6, still weirded out about that. But is it possible to play only Ragnarok, or do I need to play God of War as well, story wise? So it is a direct continuation of the first game, or 2018, excuse me. We got to clarify there. There is a like 3-minute kind of recap that you can do from the main menu, but it's very. What would you guys
like
say?
It's fever dream.
Yeah. It's kind of like flashbacks. It gives
There's
you.
Jormonger. There's a fire dragon.
I think it's designed for people who definitely played 2018
Played the first
and just
one,
just need a couple visuals to help kickstart their own existing memories. It's not for new players. You should play 2018.
Kratos holds up a horn. I mean, it's like, what were you doing? Now, typically, I say, yep, that's about the amount of story that was in the first one. But hey, that's not
fair. So I would recommend it. I don't think there's any reason. Kind of touching on what Hogue was referring to. There's no reason to rush into this if you haven't played 2018. Take your time, play 2018. Come to this if you really love 2018. By all means, jump right into Ragnarok. If you are okay with 2018, then play Ragnarok in the future. I mean, but the short answer, Gecko, is yes, I would play 2018 before playing Ragnarok.
There's no reason not to.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for the super chat as always. And shout out real quick to a couple new channel members as we've been watching here. Mr. Fatboy Horror, thank you, brother. Appreciate you. And Christy Fletcher as well. Thank you very much. Appreciate you both. All right. So, Travis, you're early like me. You heard, what I thought of the first few hours and obviously what Hogue thinks. Where are you at on this?
So I think I like it a fair bit more than Hogue, which is probably true of God of War 2018. Although I think we both say we're 8.
We both said 8. Yeah, I was the one who's higher on 2018.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think 2018 is definitely an 8, just because for me, my main failings with it obviously are the combat, which I think is a lot more than it is a problem for Hogue with the 2018 version. So I will say, in that regard, I think Ragnarok does have some improvements, and I think the combat is better so far. The enemy variety seems like it's a little bit better. We'll see later into the game if it's better, but that was one of my main problems with 2018 is fighting the same bosses like 10-15 times and that sort of stuff. And so I think I will end up liking this game significantly more than 2018. That said, I still agree with a lot of what Hogue said in terms of things that annoy me. I think the opening is super slow. I don't want to see Kratos staring into a fire for like 45 uninterrupted seconds before he finally stands. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot of like, it's kind of like eating a sandwich that has like, an ingredient you really don't like, so you eat around it. I have to eat around the pretentiousness of these games. I have to sort of enjoy what I can and be like, well, the combat's cool, it's a fun little adventure, and I'm not really into Brussels sprouts, and there's a lot of Brussels sprouts on this thing of pretentiousness, and so that is a problem. I also really don't like the quick time events. I criticize pretty much any game that has them, and this game has a ton, and it actually opens with quick time events, which I thought was really bad, the way that it opens with that sledding sequence where you're just hitting A and B and that sort of stuff. And I was just sort of like, what the hell? Or not A and B, but
I know what you mean.
So yeah. And I so far I think it's a good game. I'm excited to play more. The upgrade did see a little light. The UI seems a little wonky. I know this is not going to be a 10 for me pretty much right away. Like, as soon as I started it, I was like, okay, not a 10 for me, but it could be a 9, possibly. I think an 8 is probably a surefire thing at this point, just based on what I've seen. I hope it's not true that people have a problem criticizing polished games. I know I certainly don't. I'm excited to play more. I'm really not that far in it, but so far my impression are, if you like 2018, it seems like it's a lot of 2018.
Travis, have you ever got the chance from IGN to read to review one of the super polished games? I actually don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
I actually don't. I just don't know the history. There.
Crossfire X?
I'm trying to think of it. I feel like I have. I mean, Plague Tale Requiem is kind of one of those really polished story-based games. Like, I've not reviewed like a
What
Naughty
about
Dog game
Xenoblade
or
3?
anything.
Xenoblade
Xenoblade is.
I
it's
haven't
a little
played it, so I
different.
don't know.
It's a little.
Okay.
I think my niche is I play the games that are. There are fewer people that kind of understand that genre.
Have you
sort
reviewed
of
any of the Sony first-party games?
No.
Okay, all right.
Straight up no on that
That's fine.
one. Yeah. I think for that it's just there's a lot of people who like them a lot more and are champing at the bit to play them, and I'm sort of just like, give me something weird. I want to play something I wouldn't normally have played, because I know I'll get around to God of War, so I don't want to play it for review. I want to play the stuff that I would have missed, right? I never would have played Sonic Frontiers probably if I didn't review it.
And I'm glad you did, because I probably wouldn't have if you didn't.
Yeah. Ghostbusters definitely wouldn't have played that one, and I'm glad
also bought that off of Travis's 7.
Yeah, 6, but you like my 6s and 7s. Yeah, actually there's a gamer a phrase called swimming in 7s, which is when you enjoy swimming in the games that are kind of weird and experimental and not the 10 of 10 polished experiences.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And I think there's a lot of merit there. I think that, you can enjoy those games.
I'd rather play a 7 that I enjoy mechanically than a 10 that is just a meta 10 that I don't care about. I mean, every day. Why would you not play what you enjoy? It doesn't matter what someone's
saying.
That's Sonic sitting next to Kratos up on my board. I mean, it
Correct.
really is.
Yeah,
That's more fun for me to play.
Exactly. So I will say that, like, the things that my main problems aside from combat with God of War 2018 was that it does that thing that I really don't like with a lot of Sony first party games, where it parrots Hollywood. It's like, hey, do you like Hollywood movies? Well, this is a video game that's trying to be a Hollywood movie, and I that really bothers me. And so I have that fundamental problem with Ragnarok, and again, that's me eating around the parts I don't like. I knew going into this game there was going to be a lot of stuff that people fawn over that I am just like not that into. I'm not that into the really slow pace and the gritty story, and I just give me Goat Simulator 3.
This is
that's
what's
where I'm
interesting
at
between you and me on this, Travis, right? Because I can go for those. I like Last of Us. I have it very highly ranked. I can go for a cinematic walk. But if you're going to do a cinematic walk, you got to put in the effort on the story and the narrative. And I do not feel like I'm being well treated right now.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Hogue, is like, because we've talked a lot about Last of Us, right? And for me, that's one of my favorite games of all time.
Me too.
But because it delivers on the narrative, it delivers what it's going for, to your point. Whereas
every moment is interesting cinematically. Yeah. And this one is so much. Even when they're doing slow walks, it's like if you were to take this down, if you were to put this in a script writing class, right, where you're gonna, all right, tell me what the beats are, tell me what was the purpose of this scene, what was the purpose of this conversation, what did we learn about the setting, the world, the characters of the plot. I do this in my head sometimes, and you get done as like, it's filler, and like 20 of them in a row in what were we calling it? Realm 1.
Yeah, I forget the name of the realm, but yeah,
I can tell you the name, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
so Realm 1, and it's you hope they're building up to something. The other thing that they're carrying the baggage for is this is how I felt throughout 2018, and then 2018 to me is one of those things that just stops. Here's credits.
Yeah. Okay. We've talked about a couple of their games, like Horizon Zero Dawn, doing the same thing. It's backloaded, right? It's like right at the tail end of the game, they give you all this exposition, Tom. But yeah, so I want to comment on an aspect here, and I want to see. By the way, we do have a poll up on the chat right now. If you're playing God of War Ragnarok, what do you think so far? And so
Ains wants you up there on that poll.
Yeah, hit that.
Put in the vote. Get on the poll. Dance around the options.
Yeah, dance around.
He wants you up there on that poll.
That's our quote for the week.
Yeah.
So I've talked about this before. I know we as collectively have talked about this before, and I know maybe I'm a little more aggressive on this, or kind of maybe outside of the norm on this, but one thing I've commented on before is it felt over the past few years like PlayStation first party, the major games, the Horizons, the Days Gone a little bit, the Ghost of Tsushima, the God of War, right? They felt formulaic. And to me, as I start playing this game, what I'm looking for as it expands is I've heard that the side quests are amazing, and I've heard there's some really good writing late, and we'll see. I'm not there. I can't comment on that, and I won't. But what I'm feeling,
yeah, I'm waiting on the good side quest.
Okay, what I'm seeing out of the gate is what kind of unnerves me about celebrating some of these games so heavily. We know that this game is getting tens. It's at a 94 meta. It's one of the highest rated games of the year and in the past several years. And if the overwhelming consensus is that, then fine. I'm the outlier. That's fine. But it just feels very formulaic. It's like, here's the same type of mechanics we're using. Here's a menu system that has the same type of layout, same type of upgrades, same type of kind of very surface level engagement with the player. It's not offering me anything that makes me think. It's not offering anything that makes me kind of work towards learning, or, it's just not, there's no depth that intrigues me in what it's trying to do. And again, that's a personal thing. I've ranted, and I'll try not to rant for more than 10 seconds, but I've ranted about how much I love Elden Ring, right? And it's because it trusts the player to go in and just figure things out and do what you want to do. And I feel the more that I play, Forbidden West was the same thing. I was hyped about that game. I've talked about it. I bought the collector's edition. I was pumped for that game. And I get in, and it's just like, here's the menu system, here's Aloy telling you what you're supposed to be doing every step of the way. Here's the same mechanics you felt before. And it's becoming stale to me. And God of War, as gorgeous as it is, and as like hyped as I was, got the collector's edition. I got the hammer right behind me. I'm pumped to play this game, and I really enjoyed 2018. Like I said, I would have given that game about a 9. I really expected in 4 years, and this being their flagship first party game, to evolve more. And maybe it does later in the game, and I will certainly come back and talk about that as I get further. But right now, out of the gate, it doesn't feel like it's done that. It feels like I'm playing more of the same.
It's a bad first impression. The prelude first 3 hours and let's 5 or 6 hours in the first round. That's a bad first impression to me. Is it an irrecoverable first impression? No. But it is a bad first impression. It's for those reasons. Honestly, I was playing God of War, Ains, to your exact point, putting XP into various things and be like, I really do wish that this just grow my character. This is not adding anything.
No, they're adding layers of I don't know the word I'm looking for here, but it's not
mechanics.
Yeah, they're adding that, but it's not adding anything to the game, right? It's not. There's nothing there. It's surface level.
It's menus
just for progression's sake.
Yeah, it's like a falsifying of depth. It's trying to present depth where there is none.
But narratively,
the reason I've never given a 10 out of 10, I think, at IGN is because it's a mix of both the stuff that you would expect from any game that's super successful, like polish and fun and replayability and all that stuff that you want in any game. But it's also, for me, the 10, it has to be ambitious. It has to be something that I've never seen before. It has to push the limits. It has to try something new. And I think that in pursuit of parroting Hollywood and getting this style of game that a lot of people really love, a lot of people really are hyped for a new God of War and just want to experience that story and that sort of thing. I think you lose some of that ambition and fun and pushing of the boundaries. And I don't think there's a lot of room to grow, because if you like this sort of game, The Last of Us is probably going to be the definitive version of that. And until the game is changed in some way, in some significant way, I think it's just making games in pursuit of recapturing that lightning in a bottle that was The Last of Us. And you see them trying it with Uncharted 4. You see them trying it with Last of Us 2. You see them trying it with God of War Ragnarok. And I think if you want to make a game that's going to impress me, if you want to make a game that's going to give me a 10 out of 10 vibe, it needs to be something that is, kind of green pastures. It has to be something new. It has to be, find the next Last of Us level experience where it's the first one, and it's the big one that finally cracks the case on it, because it does feel like they're chasing their old fix with some of these. And that'll get you a 9 in my book. But if you want to get to a 10 for me, it has to be It has to be something that changes the game.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the focus, and I think you guys have said this, and we've all said this in one way or another, but I think that the focus is on production value. This is what Hogs, I think your point was, is the
Polish,
focus
yeah.
seems to be on polish, production value, cinematics, spectacle, what I would call spectacle, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I love it. We talked last week about how much time and money and effort I put into my setup so I can play spectacles and enjoy them. But when the heart of what you're doing is spectacle, and the layers don't get much deeper, you start to lose me. And that's okay, to the point we were making earlier, which is if the narrative is really driving something home, but I'm not getting that either.
That's the trick. That's the trick, right? If you're going to make a cinematic game, if you're going to go into this mode, then you're going to be competing with Hollywood. And Hollywood is not that hard to beat right now, honestly. But playing God of War, it's hard without spoilers, but I will tell you that there are maybe 3 or 4 obstacles in the first 10 hours that you're like, oh, well, how are we going to deal with this problem? What interesting way? And they are solved by someone appearing off screen with a new artifact that solves the problem for you. Like, that is the level of writing of this particular game. So you are not engaging with it as anything but more than Rise of Skywalker level plotting. And whereas movies are a mature enough industry.
Don't bring Star Wars into this.
I mean, I agree with him on that one. Rise of Skywalker is, I will not defend that movie. I'm sorry.
There's a moment you're going to see that it's like Rise of Skywalker revisited.
Oh, no. Dagger.
I have not seen a damn thing. But that has that level of plotting, and you're so invested. Like, the purpose of this game, because everything else is junk. You're walking through hallways. You come to a puzzle arena, or you walk through a hallway and you come to a combat arena. Like, it's all this kind of same thing. And maybe you have fun in that combat arena. Maybe you have fun with these kind of simple puzzles. I don't know. But it's all in favor of advancing this story. And if your story is going to be less than, it's all going to fall apart on you. Maybe not for everybody else. Maybe they see a nicely rendered Kratos with an axe through a frogman, and they're like, yes, this is why I bought a PlayStation 5. Fantastic. But you're spending so much of my time and energy in these conversations and this nonsense. And I can tell you 10 hours in, there have been 2 plot points, 2. And it's like, okay, I have better ways to spend my time. That going back to Sardonism's question, right? I have better ways to spend my time. Now, I'm going to get through this so I can talk about it competently. But it has not been fun. It has not been enjoyable. And I think, honestly, Sony has basically 2 models. It has the open world model. God of War, believe it or not, is basically Ratchet and Clank. It is a Ratchet and Clank world model with kind of the looping spirals where you open exits and have side quests and come back. It is Ratchet and Clank, and also with the upgrades to the tools and things like that. And so Sony has their Horizon model, and they have their Ratchet and Clank model. And
Horizon / Spider-Man. I'm sorry.
Right, Horizon, Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima. I was using that as the example for that kind of that kind of game. And this is Ratchet and Clank, and Ratchet and Clank was better. I'm sorry.
So let's pose this question. Michael JM says, it's a sequel. Do they try something new or give people what worked before? And I think that's always the question of sequels.
You can't repeat your story.
Always new.
This is why it's a good question.
IGN compared this narrative to Godfather Part 2, for God's sakes. I don't know what to tell you. It's Godfather Part 2. If Godfather Part 2 starts out with a wedding and then a slow escalation of events until Al Pacino takes over the family again.
Well, and if you compare this to Godfather Part 2, that would essentially mean you're calling God of War 2018 Godfather Part 1. So you've already just started somewhere you should have never begun. Because God of War 2018 is not the Godfather.
It's the
I don't know.
War Father.
God of War Father.
God of War
Father. So it's funny because I see some people.
The God who is a father, though.
God of all Father.
Yeah, he is a father, and he's also a god. Wow. Maybe was that an apt metaphor, IGN?
No, it wasn't. But I think I don't know. I'm looking forward to playing more because I am a big proponent of not kind of giving any definitive opinions until I get through a game, right? And I yell at people for doing such things. So I want to,
It's not
I want to, no, I know. And you, I mean, at 10 hours in, you can talk about the game much more thoroughly than I can, you know, at this point. And I'll talk more about it next week, but I just get that feeling like I said a few weeks ago before this launch that for this game to be up there in the same sphere as 2018, or to be above it, right? In what would be considered a game of the year contender for me, it would have to do some new things, and I just not getting that sense.
The idea that you can't try new things because it's a sequel is one of the dumbest like arguments people submit when a game lacks ambition. Yeah, it should probably be. It shouldn't be a card based game. You know, it shouldn't be like Kratos slinging cards and that sort of thing.
Suns next month.
Yeah, because that would just piss people off. But you have to make improvements and have ambition for this sort of thing. And you see this in some of the better trilogies out there. Mass Effect changed its own formula every single game, right? It like was 3 different things. I think that, and whether or not you think that was good, it's an example of a game that has evolved or at least added on things. I would say Gears of War.
Legacy of Kain because I'm more topical and timely than Mass Effect references. But
yeah, clearly. Gears of War is also one I think that were like every game they've made some pretty good improvements, or generally speaking, not all of them, but yeah.
Gears of War got stuck as all hell in the bog that was
talking about the trilogy
game over and over. Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. 2
is
was one copied again. 2 sucked.
Whoa!
Oh, whoa!
That was one of my most disappointing purchases. I will tell you, I came home from the Best Buy with my little remote control car thing that came with Gears of War Part 2, and it was so disappointing. Disappointing.
Well, anyway, my point was that they changed, they tried new stuff during the trilogy. Lots of games do it. That's fine. There are lots of good games that try new stuff, and I think, look, they can keep the basics of God of War. Because my problem is, even if God of War Ragnarok had an amazing story, if it was like a perfect story, if it was the same game as 2018 but with an amazing story, it would never reach the heights that it is on Metacritic for me, in my personal estimation. Right?
We would separate there.
Exactly. Like, yeah, for you, maybe it could be a 10, but for me, it has to break through kind of the expectation that it's going to be the exact same game. Because I just can't get behind masterpieces should be leading the industry, right? And you're not leading the industry if you're just doing something you did before.
See, Travis, I disagree fundamentally with you and Ains on this. I think you can take a 9 and iterate on it and have something that is very, very similar and make that a 10. I disagree with you, your kind of 10 criteria there. But this is not that.
I also, what do you guys think?
You know what? Actually, the Arkham series is a perfect example that every single game in that trilogy feels totally different. Like they're iterating and evolving every single time, and they all feel great. So.
The 3 Arkhams are different. Yep.
I'm still recovering from the Gears 2 slander. It hurt me straight to my core.
Well, we can have a full episode on Gears 2 and what you like about it. I have no idea.
That one hurt.
Wow,
that one hurt.
That's crazy.
Gonna take time to recover.
Your big
Gears trilogy is really good. I'm surprised.
Gears of War trilogy?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
All right. I'm not even joking. I've lost my train of thought because of commentary on Gears of War.
Bad takes are hard to do.
Man, I wish I wasn't online or anything. So what? Gears 2 comes out, like it had to be early in my legal career.
It was 2008.
Yep, early in my legal career.
I was in high school.
I'm at the old house. I get it. I play it, and I was like, that was nothing. It doesn't have an ending, by the way.
The final boss was the letdown in that game. Agreed. But the game itself, we're not doing Gears now. We're not doing Gears. We're going to get off track. But what I was going to pose about 2018, right? God of War 2018.
Yeah, we got to watch that COW. You brought it into play, man.
I know. My thought process, I want to get your guys' honest feedback on this thought process because I've been running this through my head is, so we get God of War 2018. It gets a mid-90s meta. It's Game of the Year. You know, it won all the accolades and stuff. My thought process is for this game, for Ragnarok to kind of achieve the same, it would have to expand upon that, right? It can't bring the same experience as 2018 4 years later and receive the same accolades, in my opinion. I feel like it needs to improve in areas. It needs to drive some ideas forward. It needs to Travis's point, try a few new things. And again, I know I've said this just because I like to caveat it, but I'm super early. But to me, so far, it's not doing that. And I'm hoping it does later in the game. But if it doesn't, right? If I get through this game and it feels like a rehash of 2018, the 9 I gave 2018 will not be a 9 for Ragnarok because I don't feel that it's moved the bar forward at all as a sequel. Does that make sense?
I don't know that it had to do a ton more. It had to not feel like a copy. I mean, like, it feels like a copy at the top of this
Isn't
game.
That the same thing, though?
No, because I think if you're making the same fundamental game, right? It's Kratos. You're over his shoulder. He's blocking things with shields. He's hitting things with axes. I think. Let me give an example. Do you think God of War 2 original recipe was an expansion and different enough from God of War 1?
I don't remember them well
Yeah,
enough.
I don't remember. I remember 3 feeling pretty different.
3 was 3 was weird.
Yeah.
So I would argue that 2, and then I guess this example doesn't work so well, but 2 I would say was a big time expansion of concepts and storytelling and world and everything else to God of War 1 in what I was looking for. Right?
Yeah, that sounds great.
2 has the one, the one that has the fight in the fates and all that kind of stuff. One is a very compact kind of 6-hour jaunt into killing areas.
God, It's been so long since I played this.
I don't remember at all.
Well, in any event, I would be okay with those are very similar kind of games with a few more mechanics in 2. And I would be okay with very similar kind of games with a few more mechanics in 2 here. If it didn't feel so much like I have been here, I have done this. By the time it's such a mistake to me to have the first 3 hours, and then it's almost a bigger mistake to have the very first realm be boat around a lake and hit these spots on beaches, because like that's what you did. That was hours and hours and hours.
That's what I'm doing right now, and I'm just like I'm not intrigued at all.
Yeah, I think in an attempt to give the players what they want, studios tend to get risk averse, and I think that is a problem, because you can look at this and go, yeah, they knew what the fans wanted and they give it, and a lot of fans are going to be like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. But my problem is that a lot of times players think that they want something that they don't actually want. Like, you might think that you want more 2018, and maybe you are enjoying it. I'm not going to say that you're not, but
a lot of people seem to be.
The thing, a lot of people seem to be, but the thing that's lurking behind that is that we didn't get to see the alternative. We didn't get to see this studio do Sony Santa Monica do a version of God of War where they actually did take chances and tried something new with Ragnarok. And I think probably because they were afraid to do so, because they had this presumption of what fans wanted. And to me, like,
well, they seem to be right.
They seem to be right, but we don't know. Maybe it has a 98 on Metacritic if they actually tried some new stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know what the alternative is. And so I think sometimes people accept, well, this is the best we can hope for because it's what they did before, but they tweaked and fixed some stuff. I'm okay with iterative changes, but there's, to me, the ambition of like changing and like building. And I think God of War 2 is probably a good example. I can't really remember it, but now that I'm thinking of the Arkham series, I think Arkham Asylum to Arkham Knight is a great example of, look, the fans really liked Arkham Asylum, but we're not content with that. We're going to add this other layer. We're going to make a city that you can run around in. And then they took that and they made their game completely different. That is a bold step for a game that was one of people's favorite games ever, right?
City is not Arkham Asylum.
They were like, we're going to try something totally different. And then Arkham Knight, they're like, let's do it again. Let's just try something completely different. We're going to add this car and make that a huge part of it. And to me, that's how you do a trilogy, is like, you say, okay, well, we liked that, but we're not going to stop there. We're going to have even more ambition, because
I'm going to grant you Arkham. 100%.
Yeah, because if they said Arkham Asylum 2 and it was basically the same game, but you fight different bosses, I think fans would have been happy with that, because Arkham Asylum is a great game. But I think they didn't know that they wanted Arkham City. And so when you get it, it opens your mind and makes you realize, you know what? I should be upset with companies that do the formulaic, here's a sequel. And that's how my brain works, is when I look at a game and it's just a formulaic sequel, my brain is like, I wish they would have tried something different. I wish they would have shot for the stars, because I like to see that even when it fails, I think it's worth the attempt. And so I'm going to use the Arkham trilogy, because I
need a reverse verses. I need like a hug or something like that. I need
have that.
A Mortal Kombat friendship.
I can't say it.
Oh,
I can't say it better than that. I can't say it better than that. So
awesome. I think that's well said.
You don't know what you didn't get.
Yeah, I think that's well said. So I know we've been talking about this for a while. I want to talk more about it. Let me read it. So we got 46 votes on this poll. We got 24% think it's amazing. Ragnarok, I'm talking about.
Okay.
39% think good so far, and
Mm-hmm.
37% not overly impressed. And I think we know our community well enough to know that we don't get the clowns here. So we'll see. I
Good so far is minimum. It's good so far. I mean,
yeah,
good so
I'm in a
far.
good.
Not overly impressed. Almost seem like synonyms to me.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I was trying to do it while talking. Yeah, forgive me.
Not
I got
overly.
you.
I'm definitely not overly impressed. Would I say it is good? It's got a lot of resources and money thrown at it.
Yeah. I would hit good so far, but I think both are true. Good so far and not overly impressed. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I think I'm gonna wind up liking Horizon Forbidden West significantly more than God of War Ragnarok, for what it's worth.
Yeah,
Okay.
I actually think Horizon Forbidden West made some very noticeable improvements and changes. So I would say it's not
change to Zero Dawn.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like the same thing where like they just copy pasted. I think they were like, yeah, let's build and expand and do some cool stuff. They got the Whiterun area, which I think is super important to have in games nowadays, the open world games. So yeah, I don't know. I liked Forbidden West.
Forbidden West.
I've got to get back to it. I've got to. So.
Forbidden West is very good. And yes, I would out of the two that are actually up for Game of the Year, I would absolutely hand it to Elden Ring over Ragnarok.
Yeah,
you're here first, folks.
Well, you know how I feel about Elden Ring, and it's not for me. But you want to talk about things that I'm impressed by. Elden Ring, I'm impressed by.
Elden Ring, I will say, like that feels like a new type of game. We've not gotten anything like that before, which I think is
funny because it's primarily taking a From game and taking the open world game and saying, yeah.
But it's new.
I actually watched a game design channel the other day that did like a 30-minute video on Elden Ring, and I was vegging out, one of those moments, and I just watched the whole thing about they were talking about how certain things are designed and why and all this stuff. And as they went through the game again, I was just reliving all my memories of that game. I'm like, God damn, that game is so brilliant. Like, I absolutely adore that game.
Yeah.
I don't know when I'm going to get another experience for me that hits me the same way as Elden Ring. And that makes me sad because, man. Shout out KK Weston, another new channel member. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. All right.
Get that person some emojis, Ains.
They're coming. They're coming.
All right.
There's actually some in there now,
nice.
But they're goofy ones.
Can we get that one that Travis uses for your face on his cell phone as an emoji?
Oh, yeah. That's a great one. We need that.
That's a good point. We will be adding some Ains, Hogue, Travis, and Dan specific emojis in the future.
Wait, really?
I got to read my contract here. I don't.
Yeah, are you allowed to use my
likeness rights here? We'll talk about this backstage.
Yeah, if I die, are you gonna have like a holograph version of me made? Yeah. That. By the way, do you know where that photo comes from, Ains? Do you remember that moment?
No, I don't.
That was when Hogue said that he liked Resident Evil 6 more than Village. And that was your actual reaction. Like I rewatched that clip because I think you clipped it out and your reaction was immediately like utter shock, just like, ooh. And I just took a screenshot of it and I have it as one of my background wallpapers.
I've been playing Village again with Rose stuff. My vote does not change.
Cool. I mean, I think the Rose... Yeah, I think that ended up not working out. I told you guys I played that in preview, and my initial thought was sort of like, I don't know. Very good.
By the way, Christy says need a versus emoji. Yes, absolutely. I just got the channel membership set up this week as we kind of transition things over. There'll be a lot more coming that you guys can play with while we're talking. So just stay tuned. Yeah, thank you. All right, Hogwarts Legacy, guys. That's kind of. We kind of did our usual where we talked about games playing, but that was the bulk of our show. But I did want to mention Hogwarts Legacy because we got about a 30-minute showcase this week with a few members of the WB Avalanche development team. And I watched that the other day, and I don't know if you guys had time to tune into it and kind of check it all out, but they went through a kind of deep dive on the character creation. Then they did a short walk around Hogwarts, kind of some of the key rooms without giving any kind of big things away. And then at the end, they basically showed a kind of a landscape of the open world where you leave Hogwarts and you can go explore. And what I will say is I am not I think we've talked about this. I'm not like a Harry Potter guy. That was after I'm too old. That was after me. But this game, the more... But it didn't. You didn't grow up with Harry Potter. We didn't grow up with it. We
No,
were older
but I
by
had a
then.
younger sister who was really into it. I was stood in lines for her at malls and things like that, and so I
Yeah,
wanted
see,
to
I
pick up
didn't.
copies.
Target
Yeah.
audience right here.
Yeah, yeah. So Travis is right in that ballpark.
I think the first
but
book came out when I was in 3rd grade. I was in that era. Yeah.
Perfect.
Wow, that really is. It's right on the button.
Yep.
So
I was
you
already
know-
reading Lord of the Rings though, so I was like, that's baby stuff. I was a very pretentious 3rd grader.
No,
Yeah.
I would never imagine that.
Yeah, I know.
But I think all I wanted to say is really that one, I found the presentation to be solid. I was really impressed in what they showed, and I'm glad they went into some detail on some of the aspects. They did say more presentations are coming prior to the February 23rd release date. I'm going
They
off the top
believe
of
in
my
this one.
yeah, February 10th, something like that. But I think that I don't know, guys. I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of this game. I'm really, really liking it. The fact that you can create down to minute details your own kind of student at Hogwarts, and the attention to detail they're doing, and it looks like it's got enough of that kind of mystery and exploration where you can kind of go do your own thing around Hogwarts. And just think, right? Like Harry Potter as an IP is gigantic, as we know. And I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe we've had a game that really kind of lets you live that student at Hogwarts experience. And that seems to be what they're going for here. And by all accounts that I can tell as an outside fan looking in, they seem to be doing a damn good job of it so far with what they've presented.
It's going to make a fortune. I don't know if you
Yes.
saw. It's in the top 10 trending on YouTube. Like this is not a flashy presentation. This is people on a couch going through like the character creation screen.
That's why I loved it.
Yeah,
It's like, show me the actual game, you know?
It has millions of views. It has top 10 trending. WB knows what it has here. That's why they delayed it. That's why they're going to do multiple presentations. Is they're going to polish it to within an inch of its life.
Good.
I think it's. I mean, this is the kind of thing that could potentially save WB Games, like as an entity, because they are going to be shopped. The whole enterprise at WB is being shopped and priced and
Yes.
looked at across their entire company. So I'm enthused about it. I thought when they did the state of play, that was the long form one back in March.
Yep.
It was really, really impressive.
Summer, yeah.
This was better insofar as it like, oh, that's a game. That's a functioning game. And speaking of UIs, it's got a much better UI.
It looks great, doesn't it?
It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
They put money at everything. And it's like, yes, I don't know how the gameplay will be. Travis.
Yeah, I was going to say the combat looks a little silly.
I don't think it matters.
We'll see.
But did you hear what they said about it? Like you can have 16 different spells active at one time.
They should have just made it turn-based. But
no, I don't think it matters. See, this is, to me, Travis, I think you're losing the forest for the trees. You think about Red Dead Redemption, you think about Grand Theft Auto, that combat sucks. It sucks. And yet you get to live in that world. And that's what they're aiming at.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But honestly, if it was turn-based combat, how much more would you be into this game?
I would be a lot more into it. But
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Turn-based, it's like it's tailor-made for turn-based combat. The entire Hogwarts fantasy is like, I cast a spell, you cast a spell. That's like every single. I don't know. I think they should have done that.
I think it'll be absolutely fine. You want to talk about things I missed turn-based in? We'll get to Final Fantasy 16 at some point. But, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I think it looks great. I'm excited to see more. They did comment, as they kind of walked out of Hogwarts at the end and they look at this big landscape. I didn't like that one of the people on the panels did the old, if you can see it, you can go to it. I'm like, nah, don't start saying that.
They had an influencer there with them, though. I don't even know who said like any given thing. So
yeah, I don't know who said that, but they did say that that the map is massive. There's tons to explore outside of Hogwarts, and I think what's going to be really nice, especially for hardcore Harry Potter fans, is it seems like there's a lot of at least, again, I'm not one, but it seems like there is a lot of kind of homage paid to the fine details of Harry Potter and the books.
Well, how's you guys getting sorted in? What's going on?
They clearly knew, what they're doing, it seems like, anyway.
Well, Travis, you're clearly a Slytherin.
Yeah, I am. I'm not going to lie.
I don't even know the houses. That's how much I know Harry Potter.
Really?
Yeah.
That's like pretty...
I know Slytherin because everyone always says...
You know Gryffindor, too.
Gryffindor, Hufflepuff.
Yep.
Is that
One
one?
more.
Okay, good.
One more.
That's the last one. Starts with an R.
Intellectuals.
I'm not going to get it, guys. I don't know.
Ravenclaw. Come on.
Birds.
Ravenclaw. Okay, thank you. Jury helped me
Yeah.
out.
It's
I've seen all the movies because my son was into the books and the movies. So I mean, I've seen all the movies, but I haven't watched them in years. I don't remember them. So
Well, no,
what are you? Hufflepuff.
someone called
what
me
am I?
Hufflepuff.
I'm
Is that good or
probably
bad?
I usually think of myself as Gryffindor. You know, I'm the guy that leaves the big law firm
Everybody.
after he makes partner to go do, wild things. So, yeah.
Everybody thinks themselves as Gryffindor. Classic. I wouldn't expect nothing less. Team Slytherin. What? What about you, Ains? What are you? Come on, sort
I don't
yourself,
know.
bro.
RJH
it's a
said I'm going to be
self-fulfilling prophecy. Am I
Hufflepuff.
allowed?
What is Hufflepuff? Is that good or bad?
Okay, so Dumbledore, when they were starting Hogwarts, he pitched, "Hey guys, you know how there's 4 types of children: brave, smart, evil, and miscellaneous?" And the person he was pitching it to was like, "Go on."
Hufflepuffs are creatives that love animals and plants. And
Oh, okay.
don't listen to
All
Travis and his reductive capitalist Marxist explanation.
Brave, smart, evil, and miscellaneous. Those are the 4
I
Harry
love the
Potter
miscellaneous.
schools. Yeah, so
It's because
I'm
the
gonna call
Huffles
you-
don't
I'm gonna
actually
call you
have anything.
miscellaneous. Ains.
There's nobody that's really Hufflepuff facing in the main story, so it's
Okay.
a little bit randomer.
Okay, so then what's Ravenclaw?
They're
Ravenclaw's
like
the
book
intellectuals.
smarts boys.
Stars, math, reading.
Okay. And
Right,
then
because
Gryffindor is like the
Gryffindor is
gung-ho-
primarily brave, courageous.
Jocks.
I think of it as
Good people.
entrepreneurial.
They're
Okay.
jocks.
Not,
What
and
was
then-
that, Travis?
They're jocks. That's all they are. It's a bunch of F boys. That's all I gotta say about them. Gryffindor. You know what I am? Slytherin, baby. So what is Slytherin supposed to be? Am I just
Yeah.
like a tricky Jew? Is that what they're sorting me into? That is that what they're
Oh,
going for?
no.
What
I'm
what
not
is the? I
touching
just
it.
want to know.
I'm not touching it.
I would say that Slytherin are ambitious, probably to a fault in some cases,
okay, I'm
and
into
seeking
it.
power and CEOs and government officials types.
Ains doesn't want to appear on camera for this segment.
I can't help my
So
picture's
no.
still associated with me. Damn
There
it.
you
That's
go,
true. And
exactly.
now it seems like official. It's like your stamp on it, your signature.
I don't
Well-
feel like I fit in any of those 4. Is there a 5th option?
I mean, you could be
You
a
could not
muggle,
go. Yeah, you're just a muggle.
which
Oh.
sounds like a racial slur, to be honest.
Yeah,
No,
Muggles
the
are
racial
weird.
slur is
Mudblood.
blood. Yeah, there you go.
Mudblood, which is actually they both sound real bad. I don't know, man.
Muggle? Why does muggle sound bad?
It's an apartheid. Well, I mean, it's a term that they use to like put down a group of people. It's got 2 G's in it. I'm a little scared by that word.
I gotta
There's-
agree with them. It does sound a little.
It sounds a
questionable.
little. I don't know. It sounds questionable to me.
Well, like, you can go with
Yeah.
the very creative American version, which is nomad.
What?
That's what they call them, huh?
In America,
Seriously?
the muggles are
Wow,
nomads.
that's pretty.
Wow.
Yeah,
All right.
nomad. That
I'm
sounds.
gonna-
That sounds
I'm-
like that sounds like a medicine you take for your like vagina health.
No, you're thinking of a V there. A V.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
have very limited interaction with the female anatomy. It's
Clearly,
something I'm still figuring out.
we've gone
What
fully
happened?
off.
What did Travis? Did Travis take a little bit of something in the middle of the
He's
episode?
Slytherin. He's Slytherin. See,
I'm
this is what
Slytherin.
they
I'm
do.
just, yeah,
Um,
Slither in, which is also my
Stop
signature
it.
sex.
Stop
move.
it.
Okay, all right, we'll move on.
What was interesting about that presentation, I thought, was how much they focused on the actual space, right? And it brings to mind the fact that the name isn't, your Magic Fantasy or Harry Potter's anything. It's Hogwarts Legacy. They clearly focused on it's very similar to Grand Theft Auto calling their stuff San Andreas or Vice City or something else. This is the place, it's the world that we're selling to you, and so I anticipate it to be an absolute blockbuster.
Yeah, me too. And I think
cool.
you're right that they're gonna kind of double down on the marketing, the presentations. They're gonna build up to this release largely, and it's very clear because this game's been delayed for years. I mean, I think I'm.
leak like 4 years ago. 3 years ago.
I said before that I saw the banner for this game at 2019's E3. So I
Yep.
mean, this has been in development for a very long time, and it's.
And it was
I
rumored
mean,
for like way before that. Like I think.
yeah.
they've been
So
working on this game for a
someone
long time.
on one of the blog posts who's working on the game said, I've been working on this game for over 5 years now. So I mean, it's a long term development, big budget game, and I'm happy to say from what we've seen, it looks it. I mean, you can see it on the screen.
It
So
looks very
we'll see.
nice.
We'll see. We got just to quickly mention, we did get the announcement this week, although which was kind of weird because I thought they already announced this, that Control 2 is now in development. Remedy Entertainment came out and said that they've reached an agreement with 505 Games. 505 Games will publish the game, and Remedy and 505 are going to co-develop Control 2. It has an initial budget of 50 million euros. I don't, what have you. But they said this is still in the early stages. But am I losing my mind? Didn't we get the Control 2 announcement like 6 months ago? Earlier,
We did not. You're thinking of Alan Wake 2.
I know Alan Wake 2.
Control 2 was announced only insofar as Remedy had a statement that said we are in a co-publishing arrangement for a known IP follow-up.
Right. Okay.
Which we all assumed was Control 2.
I think that's what it was. We kind of assumed it was Control 2. I got you. Okay, so it's official now anyway.
That's too bad.
Yeah, well, Remedy burned its bridges with Microsoft, or Microsoft burned its bridges with Remedy. Either way, no.
I think that game gets a bad rep. I like the Quantum Break.
Quantum Break?
I think it was a good experiment. They could have built on it.
Yeah,
I like Quantum Break. It doesn't have an ending. I mean, it is a kind of constant problem with some of these games.
Well, it's about time travel. Okay, how could it have an ending? Time is a circle.
Okay. Well, if you're going to give me this is a game focused on narrative, right? I mean, like they made TV shows.
They had Littlefinger. Okay,
don't speak ill. Narrative, and then they get to the end, and they're like,
yeah. No, I have serious problems with that game, but I just really liked the ambition. They tried something new.
I like Quantum Break. I like Quantum Break a lot more than Control.
Really?
Control, I gave a 4.
I wasn't huge on Control. A 4 is oof.
Oh,
I was pretty huge on Control. I really like that.
I love Remedy. Remedy is one of my favorite companies. I like almost everything they've done. Alan Wake is in my top 10 of all time. Control was like they spilled coffee on their keyboard in the middle of the story and called it a day.
Bruh. I mean, you have to read all of the pieces of paper to understand the story.
If you read all the pieces of paper, you still have a junky story. The actual narrative plot of the game is nothing.
What? Nani?
You have made Travis unable to speak. That takes talent, Hogue.
Nani?
Okay. Look, I think Control had some nice advancements. Again, Travis, you value gameplay more than I do. So I think it had some nice advancements in battling things in Control. But the actual story was lame. I don't know. I really don't think you can fight that so much. I mean, like the brother
is the story. I mean, I thought it was like, surreal and like weird Illuminati-esque with the org that you're running around in. But yeah, I liked it. I was reading. That was one of the few games I've actually read every scrap of paper because I felt like you kind of had to really. I thought they did a good job explaining it. But it was one of those games where like you can tell they were afraid of forcing you to see the story in case you didn't want to deal with that, because there's at least some people that are just running through just to fly and do magic powers. But
and there's 20 dialogue per person to explain their world, which is relatively nothing. And I don't like that they demystified Alan Wake. I don't think that's a good choice. But you can separate them.
Yeah,
I didn't.
I liked that a lot. Alan Wake. I liked that they kind of gave like it's in the same universe canon. Yeah, I don't know. I liked it. It was cool. I just liked that it was so weird. It was such a weird game. The story was really surreal and creepy and strange. It was just.
By the way, I like this comment from Toject, who says, "I love seeing Hogue being slowly descending into degenerate territories through D&D and Bitcast. Gets my full approval."
Nice.
I'm a happy family-friendly channel. I don't know what to tell you.
Fair enough. All right, so we got that announcement, and one thing we had to mention this week, Hogue, because I want to get your commentary on it, is our next iteration of As the Acquisition Turns. So this week, and I haven't paid a lot of attention to this, I don't know anything about it, so I'll just set you up and you can knock it down. So we saw a comment on Twitter from someone working in the CMA, I think at a higher Go ahead. You give us the context. You're better at this.
Yeah. So European Commission guy comes out. I was actually this tweet was so ridiculous. I actually had to check to see if it was an Elon Musk fake. Because if you're on Twitter at all, whoo boy. Anyway,
Yeah.
So I had to check that. But he basically comes out with a tweet that says, "Commission is working hard to make sure that you can play Call of Duty on your systems, including my PlayStation." Now, from a legal perspective, the European Commission has just entered into phase 2 investigation. They have not made any conclusions as of yet. And if you have somebody even loosely affiliated with the commission saying, this is what the commission is going to do, it's going to make sure you get to play Call of Duty on your PlayStation. Well, on the legal side, that is making an assertion of what the conclusion of an investigation that hasn't happened yet is going to be. So, great.
It's not going to look great if it does go to trial.
Well, it's not, and that's people were asking me. Well, what does this do? I said, well, okay, so it's not going to make the case. This is some dude, but it is going to look awful. It looks awful for the commission. It looks awful, and so not only do you make that assertion, you also say, I'm going to make sure I can get Call of Duty on my PlayStation. Understand that the role of the commission, the role of the CMA, the role of the FTC is to ensure that competition survives. Not that any given competitor does, and certainly not that the commissioner themselves is happy with the outcome, right? So this became a big thing, and then he goes out there with making it worse, right? Oh, crisis communication tip, folks. Sometimes you just have to shut up. It doesn't feel good. You're going to have articles written about you. You're going to have comments in your DMs, whatever. Sometimes shutting up is the right answer. And this guy said, no. As you can tell from my profile, I was not speaking for the commission. Bro. Yes, you put those in your profiles because your employer says that when you say I like Rocky Road ice cream or I like Resident Evil 6 better than Village, it doesn't get attached to your law firm or whatever. You have that disclaimer out there. But when you say something about what your employer is doing, it's donezo. You can't. The disclaimer doesn't get you out of that. And so he's been having a rough time. I suspect his social media privileges are going to be stripped by his employer. But this is what people were reacting to. I don't think it's I'm not a console warrior, so the folks that are taking it's all sham, it's all shady. It's like it's some dude who slept probably 3 minutes out of school saying commission's going to make sure it's all okay. Yeah, fine, all right, but it did look very bad for them. And I think if it comes up in a fight, yes, Microsoft's gonna bring it up. That's it. Nothing big.
That's simple. Yeah,
it was a
one
really
person
bad...
who spoke out of turn with bad commentary.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to what Hogan and I have been talking about a lot when this comes up, which is like all the posturing and the not really doing your job, but making people think that you are through social. It's very.
The European Commission put out their phase 2 stuff. I talked about it in Virtual Legality. They have a ridiculous angle on their attack about the operating systems, which you can go and watch that video. But outside of that, it's exactly where you would expect it to be. The CMA and the FTC and the EC are maybe rattling their sabers a little bit more than will be expected. I fully expect the deal to go through next year with concessions on Call of Duty because Microsoft said basically in February, we're happy to make sure Call of Duty stays on PlayStation, which is telling the regulators what they are willing to agree to as a consent decree. So even though I have 43 episodes in Virtual Legality on this topic, for the most part, what I said on January 18th of 2022 has held for 10 months now, and nothing has changed.
Yeah, PlayStation will continue to get Call of Duty, just now through Game Pass.
No, that's not going to happen. But there's going to be a consent decree for a period of years because Microsoft said it was fine with them.
I'm sure they will. Yeah.
So they'll put that in the contract.
5 years, 3.
So they offered Sony 5. I'd say 7.
7. That makes sense.
Interesting. Okay,
that's enough time for them to develop a shooter to.
Right, 7 is a full generation. I think you can tie it to the average generation length, and you can say, Sony, if you can't get your crap together by then, it's not our problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is going to be interesting. I know we've talked about it, but with Sony driving towards developing some of these live service games and multiplayer games, I'm very curious to see what they actually come out with in the next few years.
I don't have a lot of faith in Sony coming off of God of War.
Is it the PSVR 2? That would hurt you.
So what is Sony's last couple months? This is why I get called an Xbot in my space. What is their last couple months? Price raise with a freaking note that says things cost more now. Really, bro? You're telling this to your consumer base? Nice. PSVR 2 with no announcements. By the way, did you see they launched a PSVR 2 portion of the store, Travis? So with only the 11 things they named, you know what's not even on there? The Horizon game.
I gotta assume that they're going to do a second state of play where they introduce a bunch of games, and we'll see.
Yes,
Travis, that's got to be the case. They're not insane.
They're not insane. Yeah. If they do that, I mean, like I said, I think it's 50-50 odds that this thing goes down in flames. But
we don't need to get into a PSVR 2.
Yeah, no, we had that discussion last week.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But like God of War, I guess Horizon is their big win for me this year. I enjoyed Gran Turismo, but like I don't know. I don't know. This was, if you actually break it down, I played so many fun things, but not from any of the major players. I played all this kind of other stuff.
That's my thing. That's why you're not an Xbot, right? Because you're saying, I don't like all these decisions PlayStation's making. Xbox only looks good by comparison because they've done nothing. And when PlayStation's crushing it, everybody looks at Xbox like, wow, you suck, you're doing nothing. But when PlayStation's doing bad things, they're like, wow, Xbox, great job, keep doing nothing. It's like their strategy hasn't changed. They're just sort of
Well, that's one of the things I get in my comments. And I tell them, I said, the next time Xbox makes a thing that I think is a problematic or messaging or whatever, I will let you know. But I'm on their side against the kind of sometimes crazy analysis of the regulators right this second as a corporation. And then they haven't said anything on making video games this year. They just kind of have been keeping their head down.
And everything they had for this year delayed. I mean,
yeah, they're trying to secure their position as like number 7 in the gaming market so that the acquisition has a better chance of going through.
They are. I mean, that's part of the game here, though, right? It's like we are so. They take out the walking stick. They got the Game of Thrones old guy that's walking around. I barely know where I am. Satya Nadella calls up the regulators and says, "Are we in games? I had no idea."
Yeah. But don't be fooled. That cane is actually a cane sword. He's gonna take it off.
Well, that's why I use the Game of Thrones reference, because he goes in his room and he straightens up and he's like, fine. It's like, Microsoft is definitely trying to undersell its ability to compete on this stuff. And
I was gonna say, if you missed this last week, we talked about PSVR at length as well. So if you want to hear our thoughts on that, that was a fun one. Was that last week or 2 weeks ago? That was last week, right?
It was last week.
Lucas is track of time.
Anyway, that's all I got.
You're old.
All right. No, that's good. That's good context. You know how Twitter is, right? So I see a million posts about people blowing up about these comments, and it's like,
I'll probably do a video on it tomorrow, but it'll be a short one because I do think it's worth commenting on. It is a very poor look for a government regulator like that. You have to be better than that. And I'm not saying that it's going to, I am not saying that they're corrupt and they're bought and it's all over. It's optics. You cannot optically look like that as a regulator. You cannot.
Yeah. Yep. Fair enough. All right. I think, so player live video. Is it going to be live? I think he's asking, Hogue. I think that's what he's referring to. You doing that live?
Oh, I have to play those by ear every day. I honestly don't know whether I'll do videos at all tomorrow because I'm still, my voice has made it through this episode, but it's not great. So we'll see. Sorry.
Okay. Fair enough. I don't know if he's in the chat anymore, but I want to shout out one new channel member. God, my mind. Channel member Michael Jam. Thank you very much for joining. I appreciate you. And as I said, stay tuned as we add more and more stuff for channel members in the future. All right. That's going to go ahead and wrap us up. Jupiter asked, did I play the Modern Warfare 2 campaign? Did I like it? I have not. No, I started it. I got about 15 minutes in, and I felt like going to play something else. So I'm just not a Call of Duty campaign guy. It doesn't do a lot for me nowadays. I'm too shooting AI doesn't do a lot for me. I prefer to be playing multiplayer. Yeah, it's just not competitive enough for me. So, but that's just me. Yeah, it seems that most people really enjoyed it, though. I can tell you that almost everyone I've talked to really liked it. So
shoot some AI and then shoot some people. It's good. Good times.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up. A couple things to mention real quick. So we did have, like I said, our first Season Gaming Halo community night last night. It was a lot of fun. I streamed it, and we're going to be doing those more often with all kinds of crazy modes and maps and things in the future. So if you like that, stay tuned to my Twitter and Season Gaming, and you're welcome to join. Anyone is welcome to join and jump in, and it's all fun. It's not sweaty games. It's just for fun. So I had a good time last night. Keep an eye for that. Got a review for a big game this week. I can't say literally anything about it, but just stay tuned to my Twitter and the site because you're probably interested in it, I would imagine, if you're watching this show. And then that's about it, I think, on my side. So, Travis, I'll start with you this week, man. What you got going on?
Yeah, I've got a review for the biggest game this week, which I can't talk about. Goat Simulator 3, obviously. Not Pokemon, not Pentiment, not any of those stuff. Yeah, it's just that. No, I've got that. I'm working on a preview I can't talk about. I'm doing stuff. I'm out there. I'm replaying Half-Life Alyx in my spare time. I'm mostly because of the conversation we had last week. I was like, I really should play that game again.
Nice.
And then follow me on Twitter at TyGuyTravis. And you like Destiny? I don't. I talk about it though. You can watch me do that on Thursdays. All right.
There you go. Hope.
Well, as Ain said, I have a lot of shows on my channel. We just had the penultimate episode of Lawyers and Dragons Season 1 this past week, so you can check that out. We will have the season finale next Saturday, and we'll do Hangouts and Headlines at least a number of times this week. I'm not sure whether there will be one tomorrow. I'm still basically deciding on that. And Virtual Legalities whenever things pop up. So we're still having a fun time. Check it out at the Hoglaw YouTube channel and on my Twitter at Hoglaw. Not verified because I don't subscribe to Twitter Blue.
Fair enough. Thank you, guys. I did forget too that I did. It was for Patreons originally, but it's live now on the channel for everyone. I did a video on Xbox that is about some of the comments, some of the fiscal results, and some of the commentary Phil Spencer has had on Game Pass, some of the percentages, the market values, those types of things. So that is up and live on the channel. A lot of good feedback on it so far. So if you enjoy just a quick analysis from my perspective of where Xbox sits with Game Pass and what they're doing with game releases in the future, that's up on the Season Gaming channel as well. Chat, you've been awesome today, and we got a late super chat from Mr. Rob Frawley II coming in at the last minute. $10 super chat. He says, thanks for the show today. Appreciate the opinions of everyone. Always a good time. All the best, panel. Rob, you're awesome, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And appreciate you guys in chat, man. Always good interactions. Even when we say stupid stuff, you're here to laugh with us and and just enjoy it. So if you're checking this out after the fact, appreciate you as well. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you think. And like I said, if you have questions for us or anything you want to pose, put that in the comments as well. And I pull some of those out so we can talk about them in future shows. Other than that, it's been a blast as always, guys. Love chatting with you. Always a good laugh. Dan should be back next week. We'll get everyone together. And we will talk a little more about God of War Ragnarok next week, along with some other games. So until then, have a good week, everyone. Peace.